Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
You'll have to excuse my friend Dallas today. A's fantasy camp is a lot more intense than I think a lot of people realize. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Randy Johnson show up to one of these things?
No, Randy Johnson came to spring training. Jamie Moyer has been out there. Giambi, bro, we just had Raleigh Fingers. Raleigh, like I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Raleigh Fingers for the past week.
How was that experience?
Are you serious? Like, dude, like, I mean, I didn't say much. Like he, when he would ask a question and like, I would answer, but I was the one listening mostly. And, I had some questions and that was, yeah. Like, but
what kind of juice did you get? What kind of questions were you asking?
Well, I mean, you also have to be aware. I'm asking questions where it's not like I can go super in depth because I want him to be answering for the folks that are there as well, because it is fantasy camp. So it's not about me. It's really when I'm around him in a social setting, putting him on a tee for the folks that are around it. Right. Yeah. And so because him and I have the player connection and other folks there, it's easy for him to, because he's great, man. He's great. Like if you engage him, like it's really special to listen to him speak about the game of baseball. Cause much like a lot of those old guys, he has opinions, but he's not just like living under a rock when it comes to the game either, So he gets it. And, but I mean, it's just so cool when you put his career in perspective. And, we're talking about, we just talked about Billy Wagner, and we released our ballots in the Hall of Fame and where he stands in the pantheon of great closers over time. And, just the number of saves that Raleigh Fingers has, 2 innings plus, just all that kind of jazz. Like he's a man, he's a living legend. And so, just asking him about playing surfaces, like he's like, like that's something that maybe people don't think a lot about. Like a lot of the playing surfaces back then, just not great, And so like ground balls and undulations and just, I was asking him about weird stuff like that, and he wanted to know about, or we had a lot of conversations about velocity.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a guy who was overpowering you. And he talked about like this dude, he was like, I never lifted a weight in my life. Never. You want to know how I threw and got my baseball muscles into shape? I threw baseballs. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And
it's just a different time.
Right. And so then you start going down the injury rabbit hole and why he thinks these things are happening. And, I just to hear him speak on it and him have the opinions that he does, it's just really interesting because he comes from a different era, and it's going back in a hot tub time machine with a baseball god. Yeah.
I mean, let's hop in the hypothetical hot tub for a second. Let's just say next year I wanted to come to A's fantasy camp. Would they let us mic up and shoot it?
1,000,000%.
Why have we never done that? I guess
I know the
answer
refused
to.
No.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, if I ever refuse to do it, it's because I'm trying to show mercy on some A's legends. Like I don't need to posterize Raleigh Fingers.
Well,
like that's not something I'm trying to do.
Time out, guy. Raleigh Fingers is one, not taking it at bat because Raleigh was a pitcher, Jared. I know you know that, but it's not.
I literally just said that I would posterize.
Well, you're pitching. You're pitching, right?
I'm hitting.
You're gonna hit. You're gonna hit.
Yes.
In the camp. Okay, yes. I didn't have you hitting in the camp.
I mean, I put on meathead muscles in my 30s. Like I can't pitch anymore. I have to hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's. What position are you gonna play?
I
right
can do
field,
both.
obviously. The fuck?
Yeah. No.
Get Joe to come out there
in the Joe's in the pros versus Joe's campers game. Yeah, like that's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I pitch and I hit, so I could play both.
Yeah, I mean, Joe can do both.
Everybody does everything in fantasy camp.
Well, not me.
Shortstop too.
I got a special set of rules. I'm not pitching. I can't do it no more.
Well, I think each team might have a couple people that can't pitch.
Yeah.
But you're going to get out there and you're going to be like, oh, you know what? I could pitch. I can do this. I think
Probably, yeah.
Because you're going to see other people pitch and you're going to be like, come on. You're going to watch a 67-year-old lady go out there and toe the slab. You're going to be like, and I'm going to look at you and go, just want to make sure that you can't go, right? You're unavailable. You can't do that. Okay, cool. I'll go like, okay. And then I'm going to do this. Joanne, your ball. There you go. She's going to take it and she's going to fire it away. It's going to be great.
Jay, hey, when's the last time you played in an organized baseball game with like an actual umpire?
An actual umpire?
Yeah, like I mean, like you didn't have. Like,
I was. Damn, I had my answer ready, and then you threw that little twist. I mean, I threw. If you're counting softball, I played in the ESP. I played in the ESPN softball league, which was as formal of a softball. Like they were real. You know, there were umpires.
Oh, they took it serious.
Yeah, that was taken very seriously. So that's the closest approximation that I have.
Yeah.
My last season for that was like 7 years ago, I think. So it's been a while.
Was that ESPN league? Was it ESPN people versus ESPN people, or was there a team ESPN?
No, it was inter ESPN. There was like an anchors team that was part anchors, part like high level like CP producer types, and there was a team that was run by.
How would you categorize my team?
Yeah, that was run by my colleague on Baseball Tonight, Greg Colley. Shout out that a few of us, I think Jared knows him too. A few of us know him. That was Dallas played for that team. I mean, that was a title contender every year. High level recruiting on that team, not like kind of like your high payroll, like go out and get the shiniest object sort of team. And then you had research where I played, which was more of like your organically grown title contender. The type that everybody likes to root for. And we did win titles. I mean, both teams won titles, but it was kind of like pockets of ESPN. Different departments had their own teams, and some were sturdier and more consistent than others, but it was a lot of fun, man. And I think I came at the tail end because it petered out, I think, a couple of years ago. And I'm sure like the prime era of ESPN was like even nastier as it relates to softball and the stories you would hear.
Yeah. And I feel like I came in, every day, one of my first games came in, just fucking launched 3 jacks. Could have been
what kind of on, because it sounds like it's behind the scenes people. What kind of on-air talent was in this league?
I mean, the coach, Jonathan Coachman.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I used to talk shit to
Coachman.
Oh, yeah. I used to talk shit to him on Twitter about.
I know that one's near and dear to you, to your other interests.
Yes, it is. The Rock used to clown his ass all the time.
Yeah, a few other. I would need a little bit more time to come up with some of the other names. He ran his team. What's that?
Didn't Bucci play? No?
Yeah, he played. Some of them were inconsistent based on like what hours or like wouldn't play in a given year, from what I remember. But yeah, a lot of them were quite good.
What about Ravi? Ravi get down?
No, he did not play.
No,
what?
Wow.
Nope.
Ravi's jacked.
Never saw him on the field. I never none of the Baseball Tonight. Well, that's not true. I mean, Dallas would play when he came into town, but
like, bro, I would take I would take a red eye and land and then drive to the fucking softball field. Swear to God.
Was it Acta who played once and blew out his hammy and never played again?
No, his quads. Yeah. His quads. He blew both quads out. Both.
Yeah. Shout out Manny Acta. Absolute gem. But had a really quick career on the ESPN softball field.
One game.
Yeah. Baseball is fucking hard, man. Like there's a reason why there's not a lot of baseball content creators that go out and play baseball, because it's fucking hard. It's very physically demanding. It's not a sport that you can just pick up and go. Like the momentum guys, it's like they're doing baseball activities every single day. Like that's why they're able to go out there. Like Eric Sim can go out there and make content because he has baseball at his fingertips every single day. We don't have baseball at our fingertips every single day, but credit to us when we do have the opportunity to do it, we do it. Fair, that's like I have faced Dallas Braden for content. Almost hit one to the fucking moon. It went right to the fence. It was an incredible catch at the wall. Yeah, yeah, it's on video, dude. It was Oppo too. I was like barely even trying and almost put one out to right field.
Jesus,
what?
Well, it's like I'm in your fantasy camp. Like that's, I just left fantasy camp.
I mean, listen, it's on video. Again, I thought I was washed, but after this past summer, getting that knock off a D1 lefty, I was like, listen, I'm ready to make more baseball content in 2024. Like, I'm ready to make more like physical baseball content. I mean, obviously we have the best baseball podcast in the world. The YouTube channel is cooking. Thank you for 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there. But at the end of the day, I feel like the people really want to see in-person physical content, Dallas.
Yeah, well, I've got a softball complex.
Softball's not baseball, dude.
Okay, well, I've got a baseball field also.
Okay.
I've got a baseball field at my disposal, 15 minutes away.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, like a nice one.
The turf?
Yes.
Speaking of turf, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. The Cowboys played over the weekend?
No, they play next week. Nope. Yeah, they play next week, I think.
What do you have to say for yourself? Like, what was it? 3 straight 12-win seasons with nothing to show for it, not even like a win in the playoffs? Is that the first time in NFL history?
Mentally, I don't need this right now. Like, I don't.
Did you know that this was coming? Like, were you surprised? I feel like you can't be surprised.
I'm not going to discuss this with you right now. I'm not going to.
I mean, if there's ever a time to discuss, I feel like we're talking NFL bets right now with the DraftKings Sportsbook, and I'm just saying, like, did you feel good enough to throw some skin in the game on your Dallas Cowboys?
We them
boys.
I definitely don't want to talk about that.
We them boys, brother. We got Roy right down your mouth, brother. Dak Prescott. Didn't happen though.
Yeah,
Commanders wore him out last week of the season. I don't blame him. I mean,
that's true.
Tough coming to FedEx, trying to beat the quarterback for the Sam Howell and the nasty defensive line for the Commanders. So if we're talking bets, put them on the Commanders next year.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Jared.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
I will say this about the NFL playoffs, and I'm not ashamed to say any of this. I would take the under on 45 seconds of NFL football consumed by me this year. But for whatever reason, I was just like, oh, it's the playoffs. Like, I'm down to check this out. So, I mean, I am the worst kind of fan right now because before every single game, I am Googling, like, what channel is the Cowboys game on? What channel is the Chiefs game on? Who is the quarterback of the Rams? Like, I don't fucking if you go through my Google search right now, like, you'll literally find, like, who won the Super Bowl last year? I'm just trying to learn. I'm just trying to listen and learn and watch some playoff football. But it's been great because I don't have a dog in the fight. I think the games have been entertaining so far. I used to be a huge football fan, or at least a Patriots fan. That's what I've learned, I think, in the last few years is I was a Tom Brady fan because I don't give a fuck about the Patriots without Tom Brady. I don't give a fuck.
It's easy to like and follow a sport when your team's beast at it. If your team sucks, it's like no point in watching.
I was super into the Celtics with like Pierce, even when they were bad. And then like when they had Ray Allen and KG, like I was very into the Celtics. And then after that disbanded, didn't really get back into them, but like they're fucking nasty now. And like I'll watch a game here and there, but I'm not like, all right, I'm back. Like it takes, I think it takes like a special group or a special team to kind of bring you back in. And obviously, like the Patriots have done nothing to bring me back in post Brady. But yeah, I mean, and now that Brady's retired, like I watched more Bucks games when Brady went to the Bucks, and now I'm just not watching football at all without Brady. So I have found out like I am a Tom Brady fan. I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't give a shit.
I mean, football's got to capture you in some way, does it not?
No.
Now that Belichick's gone, you're not.
I didn't watch a single Patriots game this year. I don't give a fuck. I did not care at all. I cared zero.
Not excited
didn't
about
hurt
the
me
future?
that they were bad. Didn't frustrate me that they were bad. I wasn't interested. Like now I'm like rooting for the Bills because Josh Allen came into the office a few years ago and he was really nice. And I have some friends that are Bills fans and they're psychos. And I'm like, yeah, you guys deserve it. You guys care a lot about your team. And I hope that you get to experience what Patriots fans got to experience all those years.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't have another Josh. You need another Josh Allen moment, apparently.
Well, Jared Goff, former teammate of mine.
Yes.
Jared Goff, former teammate of mine. Yeah, I'm happy for the Detroit Lions. That's a great story. You know,
yeah,
the fact
and current
that they,
Jared, current Jared. Do you have that?
Current Jared, yeah. I mean, yep, same team, same Jared, same spelling. Yeah, that was the Detroit Lions are a good story right now. So I think it's
shout out Dan
Bills.
Campbell, the old ball coach.
Yeah,
biting out knees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a big kneecap guy.
Yeah, fuck, love it. I mean, dude, I've been watching Dan Campbell like hype videos. I'm fucking here for it.
What's his background? Did he play?
Yeah, he was on the 2008, 0, and 16 team.
Oh, hell yeah.
And now it's their first fucking postseason
Playoff
appearance
win since
in
1992.
postseason win since 92 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Shout out
that's
to
pretty
him.
fucking sweet. That's epic. That's
Yeah.
epic. That's full circle type shit. I mean, you might want to say that when the Super Bowl comes around again, but I mean, to be here, to go from nothing to the first pop since 92, love that.
It's waiting a long time. Who's the equivalent of that kind of? I would say, you know, I don't know that. Who is the Detroit Lions of the MLB? A team that's like, you haven't done a fucking thing in 30 years.
I mean,
You really want me to say it, don't you?
Who is it?
Lower it.
Were the
Really?
Buccos?
Yeah.
I mean, the Buccos had that
They had like a 3-year run, dude.
Yeah, but that's not.
The
30
Lions had
years of
Calvin
nothing.
Johnson and Barry Sanders for stretches of times too. Like maybe there's another example that can also apply. I think it's the Pirates for sure.
30 years of just barren wasteland. I mean, the Pirates had Jason Bay. They had fucking Nate McLeod. They did.
No.
They
If
did
you're
have
naming
Nate
Jason
McLeod.
Bay and Nate McLeod, that is the barren wasteland. That's the whole problem. Those guys should never come up in a conversation like this.
No, if I was a Pirates fan, I would be stoked to have Nate McLeod on my team. That was a bright spot.
I'm willing to concede that over the last 30 years prior to this season that the Pirates' highs were higher than the Lions, but like not really by degrees, not magnitude. I think I think it's the answer unless somebody else wants to put forth a different
Twins,
answer.
I guess, but like
I would say.
What were you gonna say, Joe?
I would say Mariners, right? They made the playoffs last year for the first time in
30
how
years.
long?
30 years.
30 years. Then
Literally 30.
That's not bad. Although the Lions have never had a team that like
had a winning
or talent. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Griffey Barry. Maybe there's something with the Griffey Barry Sanders thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess there is no Detroit Lions of Major League Baseball because even like the Marlins got
Like
there.
when was
Marlins
it
got
Pirate,
flags,
like,
man.
Yeah, we're just trying to find the team with the longest gap between their last postseason victory, right?
I mean, it was the Twins. The Twins, they got theirs this year or last year.
Yeah, but the Twins were all regularly in the postseason.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
there's
Lions
no-
went from
there's no perfect
2000 to
comparison.
2000. Yeah, no, there isn't. But
I mean, I guess if you really want to be a fucking asshole about it, you could say the Pirates.
Yeah, if you want to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
It's not all about winning either, you know.
Happy to fill it in. Yeah.
You know, that's a good point, Joe. It's not really all about winning. It's about having a good time. And who has a better time than the Pittsburgh?
You can see the yellow bridge.
Fucking buckos out. We have a fucking great time. A great
You know what?
time.
What?
I'm doubling down on that Pittsburgh Pirates take because I'm now being reminded that the Lions from 1991 to 1995 were not really a bad football team. In fact, they made the playoffs 4 times and lost in the conference finals once. So, yep, that's the Barry Sanders era.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Herman Moore era.
Herman Moore. Shout out Herman Moore on Joe Montana football.
Nasty.
He was the easiest dude to run the kickoff backs with. Yeah. That's
what?
Like you could just run kickoffs back with Herman Moore all day long. All day to the house.
Facts.
To the house. There's a certain line you took gone.
Well, I guess it is the Pittsburgh Pirates, so we all owe Jay an apology.
No. Fuck that.
No.
Say it, Dallas.
I'm not fucking saying shit. My fucking voice hurts. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I bet it does.
That's what happens with fucking A's fantasy camp. Got to get through to these people.
Whoa.
Even when we're talking about football, the Pirates are taking strays out
just
here.
For no reason.
No reason. I'm with you on that one.
Wait till we sign Votto.
I mean, that's coming, right? I mean, he corrected Bob Nightingale the other day and said that he has. I think Bob Nightingale said that there's 3 interested teams, and he said, correction, there's 4. That 4th team is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
You just don't know it. You just don't.
That's not privileged information. I just can feel it. It's more of a vibes thing.
It's just a gut feel. Just a gut thing.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I feel like there's too much smoke for there to not be fire in the Joey Votto to the Pirates campaign right now. Speaking of some of the smoke and the fire, the Seattle Mariners Twitter got very excited about a conversation that we had in the last episode. Dallas, have you seen any of this?
No. What do we got?
I think it was because I said that the Mariners were kind of hot on the trails of Blake Snell, and they're looking much like Red Sox fans, Jake, and we'll probably get to that a little bit later because there were some comments made. The Mariners Twitter was getting excited about some of the things that were said on here. So I guess we can kind of like update that a little bit. I haven't heard a fucking thing on that front since before that last episode. Like there's been no like update, but the update I guess that we do have in terms of the landscape of Blake Snell's market is that the Yankees signed Marcus Stroman, which is going to be a separate conversation, but them signing Stroman, you could interpret that in some ways to be a pivot from, okay, we offered Blake Snell a contract. He rejected it, or it wasn't enough. Like he either wanted more money or more years or whatever. So they pivoted to Stroman, which takes one more team, I guess, out of the Blake Snell sweepstakes. But it is interesting to me that nothing has been like publicly said about the Mariners' connection to Snell, other than like he's from there and he like would like to play there or whatever. So I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for the Jeff Passons of the world to kind of swoop in and update us on any link between Snell and Seattle. But
I mean, I think it's I think it's fun. I mean, because Jared, you and I have both, and you know, I think maybe for different reasons, have had Blake Snell going here. I mean, for a while, and
by the way, I'm not walking it back. I'm just saying that there's been no update.
No, but I'm not. No. I'm not saying that either.
Are you reading into any of it that, like, let's just say in a hypothetical hot tub, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say that the Mariners had the best offer out to Snell, but he hasn't accepted it for what we know to be at least 2 weeks. He's a Boris guy, so it's smart to do that. Boris guy is going to take some time. But what do you read into, like, let's just say this Team X has the best offer out right now, but he's been sitting on it for quite some time. What do you read into that?
Look, if if there's no sign of public communication, that could be very good also, because it could be a matter of, hey, look, you know what? I think we're on the right track here. We actually are comfortable with where we're at. I think we have some things that we'd like to button up on our end, and that might involve some things away from the field, you know, whether it's endorsements or things alike. That could very well be a mechanism or a lever used in negotiations. I don't want to say to stall out or to draw things out, but when you create a bigger window, a bigger window for yourself to negotiate and come to terms, that could also create an opportunity for one of these fourth teams, a la Joey Votto, to make some noise, come in and maybe drive the market up just a little bit more and drive that number up just a little. I mean, that's what you would hope for anyway, especially if you're Boris, right? So just because we haven't heard anything, for those reasons I just mentioned, can be a very, very good thing. And it might be a matter of being completely comfortable with where they're at and Blake Snell having the leverage and being able to wait this out while they still move down the road with a suitor who has made a more than agreeable offer. So, but for reasons like when you think about what they do not have, like they're an all right-handed rotation. I believe they've only got 2 guys in the bullpen that are left-handed, maybe 3. But you're going to need somebody to get the lefties out in that division.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need somebody to get that done.
Mm-hmm. Joe, hold on. Where did, because I don't even think, people were like, oh, you guys didn't do free agent predictions. I was like, because I fucking hate that. Because most of them are going to be wrong, and all it does is make people be like, you fucking idiots. Like, when you do free agent predictions in November, they're going to more often than not be wrong. Joseph, where do you have Blake Snell signing as of today?
If I had to guess, Giants kind of makes sense. They always, they're in on the big guys and they need pitchers. This is a pretty big guy, not the biggest guy, but if they can't get the top guys, they want to sign free agent. They keep trying to sign free agents. They can't do it. This is like a big, expensive free agent.
It's the biggest guy left.
Pitcher, who they need. So I could see the Giants just as easily. I mean, the Mariners make sense just because he's from there, but like the Mariners don't spend fucking big money on big, long-term, risky contracts like that. The Giants seem way more likely to do that.
Yeah, they do.
I would say the Giants or even the Blue Jays are more likely to give the Giants the best offer.
Where the fuck are the Cardinals, by the way? Because everyone
that's a whole different
had
story.
Aaron Nola.
That's a whole different story.
Everyone had Aaron Nola going to the Cardinals, slam dunk, like, no big deal. This is just what they're doing. And then Nola very clearly wanted to stay in Philadelphia. And then we just never heard anything about the Cardinals ever again. Like there was no pivot plan for them. They haven't been linked to anybody.
They blew their load in the first week. It's like they got their pitchers and we're like, we're good. We're not going to try to extend.
When did Sonny Gray sign? That felt like
he signed super early. Yeah. Super early.
He was not trying to hang out there. Did Lance Lynn also go there? Back there?
Lance Lynn, yeah.
Lance Lynn? And then was there a third?
What, you talking about to the Cardinals?
Gibson.
Yeah. Gibson, I guess they just got their Christmas shopping done early, I guess.
Yeah, the rotation is Gray, Michaelis, Gibson, Lynn, and Matz, I guess.
Yeah. So Blake Snell still out there. And I guess I still have him going to Seattle until another team. Here's what's probably happening. It's very reminiscent of the Bogart situation with the Red Sox and the Padres, where it's like, all right, like I could see this. Like, yeah, it's happening. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this conversation. And then boom, someone just comes in and just steals your girl. Like, I feel like that could be one of the scenarios that plays out here with Snell. And maybe it's the Giants. I don't know. Like, who else is kind of laying in the weeds here in terms, because it's easy for me and for Jake to get blinded by, like, our ownership said we are going full throttle this offseason, and they have not done that. So now we're looking at the Red Sox being like, you cheap fucks, you loser ownership, you lied to us, You misled us, yada, yada. But then you look around the rest of the league and you're like, what teams have really gone above and beyond in terms of spending besides the Dodgers?
Would it completely blindside you if the Red Sox were quietly trying to make a run at a Blake Snell?
They're not doing that. Craig Breslow actually just made comments today being like, we're not trying.
Oh, did he?
He basically said,
I was flying from.
Yeah, we've got Kyle Teal, we've got Roman Anthony, we've got Marcel Meyer. Like, we have all these like prospects that are really fucking good. So we'll spend when they come up and we find out that they're good. So the message from the Red Sox today was, we'll start trying in about 5 to 6 years. If you guys can it's been almost 4 years to the day that we traded Mookie Betts. If you can just wait another 5 to 6, call it a decade of just hanging around with our dicks in our hands, that's when we're going to go for it. The full throttle comment was that was about 2030. Like the 2020s, it's a bad decade. We're just going to punt on this decade. 2030 Sox, here we come.
Well, hey. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I love the plan. At least we have one.
Why try?
At least we have a plan.
Why try?
Yeah.
It's the off season, So I don't blame any team for not doing shit. It's time to chill.
It's time.
We should all really be relaxing right now anyway.
Yeah.
There's no need to be out here up late trying to get guys and make a team better when it's the off season.
I agree. It is a time to recharge. Time to rest. I mean, I haven't tweeted since Friday. Today's Tuesday. I haven't tweeted since Friday. And then I saw those comments and just started firing off angry tweets. Like, cause I'm honestly sick of all the fucking people that think that I'm in like ownership's back pocket. We're like, oh, like you never say anything like, condemning how they're, I'm like, bro, I'm the fucking most vocal dude out here about how they're running the fucking team. And then I see these comments. I'm like, all right. Cause I'm sure you feel the same way, Dallas. Like you're 40.
I am. I'm a man.
You're a man. You're 40. Like you want to see the A's win a fucking World Series before you're in a wheelchair. Like you kind of get to those between being a fan, you have your fan years, but you have your career years. Like I want to see the Red Sox. Like I'm not even saying win the World Series. I'm just saying like be relevant again. Like be in the fucking playoffs. Like we're not even there. Like we're just last place 3 out of 4 years. Like I want to at least be a winning team, like a playoff team, so that we can have some fucking fun during our prime career years. Cause then it's going to get to the point where it's like, all right, dude, relax. You're 50. Like you can't be just like fucking smashing beers on Boylston Street. Like go home to your family. They're wasting my fucking good years. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, you graduate to getting the sad fucking video taken of you from behind, off in the shadows of you weeping into your fucking hands after you've had a terrible dinner. You're just sucking down beers, hoping for a comeback. And you know what? It happens. And holy shit, now I'm babbling like a baby.
Yeah. It's just bad for business that the A's and the Red Sox are fucking
they're
good jokes. They're absolute jokes.
Whoa.
At least if the Red Sox were bad, I could hop onto the A's bandwagon and just ride that wave with you. But like, it's just not. We have the fucking Braves. The Braves were fun. We were there with Joe. Joe was in rare form. Like I've never seen anyone kind of like Joe when he gets excited, he just starts punching people.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, that could be problematic at an Oakland A's game.
Yeah, that's true. They'll stab a motherfucker over there.
I'll take anyone at the A's game.
Yeah.
A Braves A's World Series would cure depression, I think.
It would.
The arch nemesis. Oh. Same letter on the hat.
Yeah.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah. Yeah. When realistically, when do you think the A's are gonna be good again?
I mean, dude, look, if you look at the history of the Oakland A's, it's all in Windows. It's in Windows.
It is in Windows.
When you think about
that glass hasn't been blown yet.
When you think about right now, there's obviously conversations and noise outside of what's happening on the field that on a very, very, very real level, regardless of the organization specifically would be affecting any team and their ability to retain impactful players, not only because of where they might be monetarily, but because of not having an understanding of where the team's going to exist. So for those two very obvious reasons, that's going to be a massive question mark moving forward. So you got a great player, great free agent who might be from the area that you want to pursue. That player might have reservations simply because of the conversations going on around the club and their current location and potential future location.
Mm.
So that's why that question is just a fucking, buddy, I can't tell you today, tomorrow, can't tell you.
Yeah, the A's have yet to make their big splash this offseason. We're still waiting for it. Last year they got Trevor May.
Yeah, that's true. Highest paid player.
And then they got Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
Aggie?
And these were big, so we're still waiting for that. But that's another thing. It's like, don't sleep on the A's, too. We're talking about Blake Snell. That might be a stretch, but there's a couple guys out there.
Oh, Joseph.
What about Yuli?
Oh, Joseph. Yeah.
Marcus Stroman to the Yankees. Let's talk about it.
Great ballpark for him. Great ballpark for him.
Yeah,
Tremendous
ground ball
for him.
pitcher. Yeah. He's not a fly ball pitcher. That's why the Yankees were not in on Imanaga. That makes sense. And we'll get to him too, going to the Cubbies. What a hell of an introductory press conference for him. But Marcus Stroman goes to the Yankees, and there's many, many layers to this. The first one being Brian Cashman is just like, fuck it, dude. Like, we are going to acquire players that the Yankees fans hate who hate Yankee fans. We're just doing it because you got to figure now eventually, maybe this just lights a fire under the guys here that have been a little bit too comfortable with either getting to the playoffs and getting their asses kicked or not making the playoffs last year. You got a dude that, in the case of Alex Verdugo, that's not going to be the case. But Stroman, I think, could light a fire for sure. Verdugo is going to piss off everybody. Did you see Papelbon, his comments about that?
Yeah.
Well, not just calling him a bitch. Like, he went on foul territory, and he was like, I was doing the pre and post for Nesson, and, like, I shouldn't be beating you to the field. Like, I'm doing the fucking pregame and postgame show. I shouldn't be beating you to the yard. You're in the fucking starting lineup, dude. So I don't know how that's going to go. I don't maybe there wasn't a veteran in the Red Sox clubhouse that could have straightened out Verdugo or said like, hey, get your shit together and get here on time. I mean, he got benched multiple times and I think, it was going to bring it up again. Lou Merlone made the point. You don't get benched for being late once. So that's just something I think is going to piss off a lot of guys over there. And it's a 1-year deal. So he's like, this isn't my forever home. So I can see that going south.
You have no faith it's a clean slate? No faith it's a clean slate.
No, I think the
bad
Bronx,
apple. Would you go as far as to say he's a bad apple?
No, I just think that he's in his own. He beats to his own drum, and that's going to rub guys the wrong way. I don't think that he's going to disrupt. Like, he's not going to get in.
Being late. Hold on. Time out though. Being late multiple times and shit like that.
It's disrespectful to your teammates.
That's not beating. Yeah, and that's not beating to your own drum. Like, that's just you're not accountable.
Yeah.
You're a bad teammate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's going to get to the point where maybe he was kind of a little bit. I don't know. But that one I don't see going well. Stroman, I think it's almost like, because he grew up a Yankee fan, and I'm seeing it a lot now because a lot of the shit that he talked about the Yankees and their fans were Twitter replies to me. So when he got signed and when he was rumored to be going there, all those tweets were getting retweeted and shared again. So I was looking and reading them again. I was like, damn, like he really went in. But I think a lot of that was like, why don't they want me? Like, Brian Cashman fired the first shot. Like, it wasn't Stroman. Stroman didn't just like randomly wake up one day and decide to start firing off tweets about the Yankees and their fans.
No,
it was Cashman. Well, what you need to know about Marcus Stroman first and foremost is that he is one of the most competitive dudes in the league, and he is a under 6 foot man. So he has that chip on his shoulder. He has that the world is out to get me. I was already put at a disadvantage and I'm overcoming the odds that were placed on me by genetics. I already have that going against me. And now I have the general manager of the Yankees saying that, like, I'm not a difference maker. I believe that was the direct quote. Brian Cashman called Marcus Stroman not a difference maker. And this is after he already had successful years in Toronto. The Mets, I feel like that was a disaster. But then when you get to the Cubs era of his career, he's an all-star. He posts. He had the injury last year, but traditionally over the course of his career, he posts. And I get when you start to look at like how things ended, like he opted out in the COVID year. And, oh, he quit on the Mets. He quit on his teammates, this and that. As long as you're not sharing a clubhouse with the guy, I look to the guys that actually do. Like Jameson Taillon just went on and did an interview and he spoke about Strowman, like one of the best teammates, blah, blah, blah. When I was in Chicago last summer talking to Cody Bellinger, Tucker Barnhart, like dudes that were sharing a clubhouse with Strowman, like they're like, yeah, he's awesome. Like I haven't heard anyone say a bad thing about him that actually shares a clubhouse with him. So if you're worried about like the clubhouse stuff, talk to the guys that actually share a clubhouse with him. I think he said something like he bought everyone on the team a Nintendo Switch so that they could all like play Mario Kart together and like that. So like he created more team bonding things, like all those things. To me, it's very reminiscent of David Price in Boston, where everyone thought he was completely miserable. This guy doesn't want to be here. This guy doesn't like the city. He wants to get traded. And then you ask all of his teammates, like, this guy's the fucking man. He bought us all scooters. This guy bought us all custom Nike cleats, you know, like, so it's, but there's the outside perspective and then there's the inside perspective.
But David Price got the entire team addicted to Fortnite.
That's true. But they got a World Series out of it.
No, it happened after the World Series, bro. So you can't use that.
You don't think that they were playing Fortnite in 2018? You think they just started in 19?
Not as much. They got way too addicted. There's already articles about it that were written and published.
That's true.
In the newspaper. And
in the newspaper.
So don't be like, yo, Marcus Stroman got everyone Mario Kart and act like that's a good thing.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, the Cubs, after all, did not make the playoffs last year. That's a good point. But for all the baggage that I think comes along with Marcus Stroman, I like the fit. Like I think when I'm trying to think of like a better comparison, almost, you know what it's like? You know what it's like, Dallas? It's like CM Punk coming back to WWE after
coming on home.
Yeah, it's like I understand what my reputation is right now out there. I don't want it to be this. I still believe that I'm really good and have a lot to offer to a contender. And my reputation is what it is. I can't really change that right now, but I'm given an opportunity that I've always wanted. I wanted to pitch for the Yankees, you know, growing up here and feeling like I have something to offer to this city and these fans. So I think he's really going to take it as a lease on life. Like, hey, I have a really cool opportunity here to do something special and back up all the shit that he was talking on top of it. Because if he's like, you guys got Garrett Cole and then what? And that's kind of still the case. Like they have Garrett Cole and then what? Like Rodon had a terrible year last year. You got Schmidt and then who am I missing?
No, I mean, it's been
Nestor Cortez.
Nestor, yeah.
Who was also combinations of bad and unavailable last season.
And Domingo Germán.
He's gone.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah, Domingo's gone. Sevy's gone. So he slides right in there. And he can back up all the shit that he talked. Hey, you guys can't get it done. You have Garrett Cole and then who? Now it's Garrett Cole and then me. So I like the fit in the sense that he put himself in a position to back up all the shit that he talked. His whole life MO has been, I want to prove you wrong. And now he can prove his own general manager wrong. Like he was already doing it in Chicago. Being like, yeah, like you said, I'm not a difference maker. Like I'm a fucking difference maker over here. Now I can be a difference maker for you. Shove it up your ass. I think it's a good, a fair average annual value. It's not a big long-term commitment in terms of the
and
years.
You got the third-year opt-out, which if the first 2 years go the way he wants, or it's a vesting option, right? Not an opt-out, it's a vesting option.
I'll look at the language right now.
Yeah, so if the first 2 years go the way he wants, now he hopefully has put himself and the team in a position to have really good success year 3. But to your point, there has to be something else going on around him and now Garrett Cole.
2026 option becomes a player option with 140 innings pitched in 2024.
So there you go. So this year, 140 innings, and Marcus Stroman.
And then he can opt in for 18 mil in 2026.
Yeah, so he'll get the fucking, basically the qualifier.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Jay, hey, how are you feeling about this deal?
I like it. I would rather do something if it's an either or scenario, I guess. I can see the merits to doing something like this rather than a 5 or 6 or 7 year commitment to somebody like Blake Snell at a much higher average annual value and obviously more overall dollars. Like, to your point, to put some specifics on it, like for all the noise about Marcus Stroman that seems to be generated, like his last 4 seasons have averaged 29 starts a season and a 3.38 ERA. Like, he's a good pitcher. And occasionally he has stretches of being a great pitcher. He didn't end the season that way last year. And I think we're probably all on the same page that when he opted out of the Cubs deal, which I think was something like $21 million over one final season, I'm sure he envisioned or hoped to get a larger bag overall than this. But I think it's a nice fit and it is more money. So he can color it a win. And it's an unquestioned win, in my opinion, for the Yankees, who, like you guys named all the people who are going to be candidates for their starting rotation. I think his floor is a really nice fit here because you have questions about availability and stuff like that across the rest of the rotation. And Rodon obviously has much higher upside.
With his consistency, Jared, with his consistency and his ability to limit damage, and the lack of availability of Rodon, I have Marcus Stroman comfortably slotted as my number 2 in that rotation. Comfortably slotted. Comfortably. For sure. Like, Rodon, you've got to fucking show me something. Got to show me something. Like, there's just no question about that. And that's where it just gets a little sketchy after that because of the lack of consistency that we've seen from those other arms. So the Stroman, I'm with you guys. We're all in agreement that this is a great personal landing spot for Marcus Stroman for all of the reasons that Jared so eloquently outlined about Stroman and the HDMH brand sort of getting the opportunity to live out. It's real, like, there's no bigger billboard right now for Marcus Stroman's brand than being in New York to be able to do all the things that we're talking about, sort of spitting in the face of the assessment years ago and how he was not going to be impactful. No. I'm now the arm you need to slot in behind your horse because we have had that lack of production and that lack of consistency. I represent everything you haven't had outside of the dude you paid $300 fucking million to.
So to two things you said. A, like the impact and the impact player thing has been brought up a couple of times. Like, we all know Cashman's right and still is right and was right at the time. Marcus Stroman is not an ace. He's not a number 2. And that's really what we're talking about when somebody is saying an impact player. He is correct about that. But that doesn't mean that you can't be very impactful for this team and this roster, right? And he has the potential to do that. And the Yankees need him to be. To your point about him being the number 2, I think he's definitely like slotted in that way to start the season, but there's the best, if he ends the season as the number 2 in the Yankees rotation, that is a Yankees team that has failed to live up to expectations, in my opinion, because the best version of this team features Rodon pitching at the level that he showed prior to joining the Yankees and him really being their number 2 and Stroman moving down to 3 or 4 and still providing the same quality that we're talking about right now.
And I think Stroman, though, represents almost that the ceiling. Yeah, how do I put this? The ceiling of the floor that you'd be acceptable to get from Rodon based on the expenditure. Meaning, what you want to see from Rodon and what you expect would inherently have Stroman as your 3 or 4. But what you haven't gotten from him and what you have gotten from Stroman, because tell me right now, Jay, that the numbers that you just rattled off about Stroman, because that's where I was going, is what he's given you the past 4 or 5 years. If you're getting that sort of production over a 5-year contract, all right, you're the Yankees and you're looking to sign a dude up for 4 to 5 years, and you bring those numbers to the table, you tell me Brian Cashman's not pulling the trigger on that? He absolutely is. Why? Because that is impactful production. So that makes Marcus Stroman an impactful guy for the New York Yankees. And it's a lot to do with Rodon and what he hasn't done, but I feel like there needs to be enough said for what Stroman has been able to do. And I guess I say quietly, because his K per 9 is not double digit and it's not dominant, and he's got to use defense. But when I say that, I now start to think about a guy who understands why he's getting outs on a high level. And in that fucking Cracker Jack box, in that fucking phone booth, my God, you're playing fucking baseball in a goddamn pack of gum. So you need to be able to have your wits about you and maneuver that bitch. And he provides that, as well as the extension of the pitching coach out there, because this is the dude who started to dive into the science. A name I know a lot of folks don't want to hear, Trevor Bauer. You talk to some of his teammates, and they will tell you, this is a guy who opened my eyes to things that I was not paying attention to, that has brought the game to light for me in a way that has really helped me assess myself on a daily basis and help me turn myself into my own pitching coach. So when you have somebody who cares about the craft like that, like I know Marcus Stroman does, as well as keeping himself physically in tune to be able to compete and perform, that shit matters. And we're all saying this about Stroman, and we wouldn't be saying it about him if the guy that they needed to do this, stay healthy, dominate, high K per 9, and do it sexy, J.A., Rodon, we're not having this conversation.
I think a lot of the Yankees' success or failure for this upcoming season kind of hangs on a Rodon bounce back.
I mean, it's huge. It's huge because now you're anchoring it because, I mean, you know, not to talk shit here, boys, but on our Red Sox, but are they a factor right now? Are they a factor for the Yankees? So where do the Yankees have their eyes set, right? Toronto and Tampa.
Hello? How about the fucking 100-win AL East champion, Baltimore Orioles?
Orioles, too. Sorry.
The fuck?
Well, I just forgot the third team.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah. That's. I mean, they know that they've got some work ahead of them, but they're a little closer to where they need to be if those guys can get the shit together. If Rodon can produce and stay healthy. Because that's an animal. It's an animal.
Joseph. $27 million a year.
For Rodon?
What's up? Yeah.
Jeez. That sucks. I mean,
he did end the season on a strong note though, with that outing where he allowed 8 runs without recording a single out on September 29th. So you got some momentum going into the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? He was with the Giants when he smashed a bunch of shit in the dugout and he almost like hurt one of his teammates. I forget which one it was.
His month of September, Jared, was not ideal. It went like this. It was an 8.10 ERA. The league was hitting 294 against him over the month of September. They slugged 523. Things did not go well. 5 homers, 31 punch outs in the 26 and 2/3 innings. He did complete 32 hits given up though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just more looking at it as, sure, you'd like to just be able to say, oh, Carlos Rodon bounce back season, here it comes. But aren't there like some makeup concerns at this point? Like because it wasn't just that he sucked, it was the way that he handled sucking. And wasn't it like we kind of just like drifted over it at the end of the season, but didn't he say like, I'm gonna go into like a darkness abyss at the end of the, like the man put himself in like the hole for 2 months after the season. Like I would have some like makeup concerns about the individual after a season like that.
Okay, but before we get there, can we just rewind just a little bit and consider the fact that he was diagnosed right after he signs the deal? And I mean, not right after, but with like major chronic back issues, right?
That's pretty bad if you're the Yankees not doing your homework on that. The fuck?
So if that's
like,
the
hey
case,
man, you want like we're prepared to give you $27 million a year. How's that sound? My back hurts all the time. Doesn't matter what I do to it. I can go get treatment. I can get massages. I can take Advil, any type of painkiller. It just hurts all the time. All right, why don't you sign right here, Carlos? Here you go. Like, let's get this thing done. Let's put this across the finish line.
The Yankees just don't believe injuries are real. They just fucking let's just get Stanton as much money as possible. Frankie Montas, come on over.
Yeah.
Well, that's where they feel like the fucking pinstripes are like impenetrable.
Healing.
Like, oh no, we'll put these pinstripes on them, and they'll never get hurt.
Everybody knows all you need is a good shave.
Necklaces.
Just need a good shave.
Yeah, just a good, just knock that fucking facial fescue down, and you're gonna be A-okay. Yeah, you can actually. We don't even need to cover you on the insurance plan. Totally fine.
No. Yeah.
All the respect in the world to Carl. You guys can talk about personality concerns with Carlos Rodon. I have nothing but respect for him because that man turned the only 2 good seasons of his entire career into a massive bag because he's been ass every other year. The guy's been in the league for almost a decade, and the 2 seasons are the season before he got paid and the season leading up to getting paid. Like, just magical.
Yeah.
It's basically Ellsbury. Ellsbury had that one MVP runner-up season, and it was 2 years before his free agency, and he turned that into $160 million from the stupid-ass Yankees.
Pre-platform and platform, baby. That matters. Yeah, you finish top 5, and you finish 6th and 5th in Cy Young Award voting in back-to-back years. Your fucking pre-platform and platform year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. So the difference between him and
how
Stroman,
old is Garrett Cole going to be this year too? By the way. I'm not
30,
saying that he's just going to fall off the wagon or have some sort of
34.
34.
Oh man, he's getting up there, dude. He's fucking old as shit. Yeah, he's going to be 34.
But Rodon in his free agent year when he was with San Francisco had a league leading 12.0 K per 9 to go along with a 2.25 fielding independent pitching. So that is the kind of shit that Rodon, as Jay Hayes said, is capable of, but we've seen it in 2 spurts.
Yeah. I guess, I guess we'll see how it goes. But I in conclusion, I like the Stroman signing. I
like
didn't
the Yankees' whole offseason.
Rodon today, but yeah. What else do the Yankees have done?
Juan Soto.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good move. Mm-hmm.
And I know we did a little Verdugo thing off the top. I don't doubt anything you're saying in terms of what he'll provide on the field and who he's replacing. I like and what that they have no attachment to him. I think he's fine as an offseason addition too. I think they've had a pretty good offseason.
You know what? The Yankees got Trent Grisham in that deal too, right? With Soto.
Yes.
I will be willing to bet Trent Grisham has more plate appearances for the Yankees next year than Alex Verdugo.
Ooh. Huh. I will. I'll get back to you by the end of the podcast on whether I'm accepting that bet.
I mean, the fact that you're even considering it, you need time to think about it, means it's a little juicy.
Well, you are clearly more informed on one of these individuals than I am, so I don't want to walk into a trap, and I want to make sure that I'm making the bet not on the exhilaration of the moment, but rather calm, cool, and collected.
The only place I'd ever try to trap you, Jay Hay, is right here on Baseball's Dead. It's the only place I'm trying to trap you. Shota Imanaga. He's Cubby. Shout out to the Cubs. Got the deal done for way less than I think a lot of people expected or thought was going to be the case in terms of years and dollars. But he comes out.
Hey, Chicago. What do you say? Cubs gonna win today.
Yeah. That's pretty great. I like that. I like that a lot.
Much appreciated.
I don't even think I never heard Dice K talk. He came to Boston. He was just like, "Fuck you, pay me." whatever. Like there's never any of that. Koji was a superstar. And Kaz, his son, who is now, I don't know if you've seen any video of Koji Uehara's son Kaz, but he is a freak. And,
isn't he be working with Yu Darvish?
I do not know the answer to that. We could ask him. I talk to Kaz pretty often.
I saw a video, maybe it was Darvish. Like I saw a video of Darvish's son fucking dealing too, I think. And I thought I saw something where he was working with somebody else's kid. That's why I asked.
Maybe. I don't know. Could be. But yeah, Imanaga signs with the Cubs. I mean, that's a rotation that could use some help. You've got Steele.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you're losing.
Got to replace Stroman, the guy we just talked about.
You're losing a guy like Stroman. Steele had a fantastic year.
Tyon's back. I mean, you could probably, I guess maybe put Fulmer in there, but probably not. That like the Cubs, I playfully, when Imanaga signed, I was like, oh, look, the Cubs did something. I only said that. Like, I'm not like, I have nothing against the Cubs. I like the Cubs. But I that was another team that I kind of expected to be more active this offseason. And
Fulmer,
they finally, what?
Carson Fulmer?
No, Michael Fulmer.
In the Cubs rotation?
I mean, that it's an option. It's not, I wouldn't say it's set in stone by any means, but he is capable. So, they still have some work to do, because even if you have, like, this is just like a pile of maybe, you want to go into the season, obviously, with more than 5 starters. So, yeah, the Cubs still have some work to do in that regard.
I mean, they're currently worse off than they ended the season, because more talent has gone out the door than has come in the door. I mean, no matter what you think of Craig Counsell's managerial ability, like Bellinger was a big piece, Stroman, and, Candelario was a free agent or a trade deadline acquisition piece, but that's still like a meaningful contributor. So they're worse off than they were right now. I think this is a nice get. What they really needed was a frontline guy, right? And still do. Yeah. Probably to pair with Steele, probably above Steele, ideally, but or adjacent to. But I think, it's not like any of us are Imanaga experts, I don't think, unless Joey is, but like the scouting report seems to be that he's going to be a real contributor to this rotation and a decent approximation in quality with Marcus Stroman, if not like style. Like he's he projects to be an extreme fly ball pitcher.
He's a bizarro world Stroman. It's like Stroman's righty, Imanaga's lefty, Stroman's ground ball pitcher, Imanaga's a fly ball pitcher.
And apparently, like, I mean, I couldn't really tell this from the press conference where, because he was sitting down, but he's apparently a pretty small dude. And there are not a huge number of lefties at his size who have succeeded over sustained periods of time as pitchers in baseball. But he has a long track record of success, and I like the pickup. I mean, they needed somebody. They still need more, but this is a part of the solution, I would think.
Yeah,
says he's listed at 5'10", 190, or what I would describe as fucking huge.
190. I got 5'10", 176.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as like workload goes, the most innings he's completed in a season is 170.
Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. 170. He had a 2.91 ERA that year. Dealing.
Gave up the most home runs in the league last year, right?
Well, I don't know. Well, the Baseball Reference doesn't reflect that. I don't think.
I think that's correct.
But
who are we talking about? Sorry,
Imanaga.
Most
home runs allowed in the league.
He gave up 18.
He wrote a book.
Oh, what's it called?
Shota Imanaga's Pitching Bible.
You doing some light reading, Joe?
Modest.
Yeah. Right.
He got his own pitching Bible. You think this guy's not going to come here and fucking dice everyone up?
Well, now that I know that.
His nickname is literally the throwing philosopher.
Really?
Yeah.
Yo, so that brings up a great point, because this is the second instance of this. We meaning the United States need to step up our game on nicknames for athletes and baseball players specifically, because we've got the pitching philosopher and
the grandson of the wind.
Grandson of the wind have come over to Major League Baseball this offseason, and those are instantly like two of the 5 best, maybe just the 2 best, but 2 of the 5 best nicknames in the sport.
Yeah.
Our nicknames suck.
Belly.
Yeah, it's just Y at the end.
Yeah.
We've done this bit before, but this doesn't make it any less true. So let's step it up.
I mean, if I'm the Cubs, Cody Bellinger is just still out there.
Yeah.
The fact that we've also heard relatively nothing about this dude's market outside of his fiance,
wife's
girlfriend,
Instagram story.
like posting a picture from Toronto. That's really the only news we've gotten on his market, is that they were in Toronto at some point, like a month ago.
Like, I know you. I mean, come on. He'd be at. Here's the thing, though. Does Cody Bellinger going back there, does that almost like concede the idea that, or does that concede for him? Like, maybe I have to go back here because I'm not getting what I thought I would get, because maybe I'm realizing the market isn't going to be what I thought it was going to be. Is there a world where that's a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, we had Lucas Giolito. Giolito said this in his press conference.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, oh, like, how difficult was it for you to sift through offers? And he was like, I didn't really have that many.
Not tough. Not tough. Pretty simple, actually. Like, it was a breakfast and lunch kind of deal. Like, I made the decision between breakfast and lunch because it was really just 2 deals.
Right. Like, I feel like that's probably the case for a lot of the guys that are still out there. Like, maybe Blake Snell is deciding between 2 teams and Boris is trying to create. I mean, Boris needs to send fucking John Heyman out there, his little puppet, to be like, oh, there's a mystery team, and ooh, mystery. And that's what he used to do all the time. Anytime. Mm-hmm. I bet you there were so many instances where there were 2 teams bidding for a Boris client, and Boris told Heyman, hey, make some shit up. we need to get these dumb fucks bidding against each other. And that's what happens a lot of times. We've seen less and less of the mystery teams in the last decade, but that used to be how it was all the time.
That makes me want to believe that old school writers, when like free agency first started to become a thing and print mattered as much as it did up until the digital space came into play, where now you have multiple people that you could kind of reach out to, almost like a legion of puppets, right? If you really wanted to, and you really wanted to take care of yourself and cover your tracks, you could have a lot of major markets singing the same tune here digitally. And it might not, I don't know, maybe it might not cost you as much when you think about it in the grand scheme of things and the impact it could make. But as a writer back in the day, when you're trying to make a big push, and I'm talking, late 80s, early 2000s, or late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, when you've got people drumming up stories and drumming up interest and maybe completely ingenuine interest, feels like if you're a writer in that day, like maybe it could have been lucrative to be on somebody's payroll.
Maybe. Could have been a profitable endeavor, as they say.
Mm-hmm. That's just me thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd pay Heyman a shit ton of money to write some bullshit for me.
Yeah. What would you pay him to write?
I don't know. Leak my net worth and make it like something cool.
Leak my net worth.
Can you make a fake network?
Someone did that, and I remember we were at the Super Bowl in Miami, I think, in 2020 it must have been. It was when Penn originally had bought Barstool, and then if you Googled my net worth, it said 79 million. Then I just ran with that. And I had people reaching out from like high school being like, congrats, bro. Like I saw it from the beginning. Like that, you worked your ass off, man. was like, thanks, man. I appreciate you. It's not 79 million, unfortunately, anymore. It used to be. What does it say now? You Google it. Inflation. Jared Carrabis net worth. It still says 79 million. 79
Nice.
million.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah,
Nice.
dude.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this 1-1 split machine apparatus
Yeah.
that I developed. I'm looking for an investor.
I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd love to check that out. Oh, I think it speaks to me. It's definitely a passion project for me as well. Were there any other signings?
Any other cool
Trade?
shit happen? I don't think so. I was at fantasy camp, so yeah, I mean, but I felt like I was pretty caught up. I mean, the Stroman thing was one of the bigger things that caught my eye, that caught my ear, that I kind of gave thought to, you know?
Well, the other thing too was that they were tweeting about his ERA at Yankee Stadium. And I was like, well, I mean, he's not going to be pitching against the Yankees when he's there. I feel like that was part of the problem. They had some really good offenses. Like, oh, you know, when the Yankees weren't making the playoffs and blah, blah. I was like, no. This is when he was in Toronto. Like, those were all playoff teams.
Yeah. Well,
and
I mean,
when they lost in the playoffs, like the offense would go MIA in the playoffs, but the offense is what got them to the playoffs in the first place.
maybe that's a wormhole to go down, or a rabbit hole to go down. Take a look at the players who had the worst career ERAs in a ballpark
And then
that
went there.
they eventually went to pitch at, and what their numbers look like after the fact. I wonder what the top 10, or I guess maybe even top 30 would be for each ballpark, because I don't know. You think that's happened? Where there's been a play, I gotta believe. I know it's happened. Like, there's been a player who's existed that's gotten
Like,
lit
this
up
guy sucks here. Oh, you know what? I want to say John Lackey was one of those guys.
in
I
Boston.
want to say before he signed with the Red Sox, he had a dog shit ERA at Fenway. Then he came
And
to
he
Boston.
Came to Boston and dealt.
Yeah, for 1 year at least.
Yeah, because I
Um,
mean, like, Oakland is skewed, San Francisco is skewed. I feel like, because you come to the Bay, you come to sea level, and you fucking deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Price had really good numbers at Fenway before he came to the Red Sox. Giolito's numbers at Fenway are not good, but it's very limited innings. It's like less than 10.
Yeah, so I wonder. Yeah, I'll probably have a couple cookies and dabble into that.
Yeah, go check that out. Anything else before we move on to the MVP Mount? Oh yeah, by the way, Cleveland Guardians Mount Rushmore segment coming in red hot.
Oh,
Well, we're about the biggest signing of the offseason. We're just not going to talk about that.
What's that?
Alex Anthopoulos.
Oh yeah, congratulations!
Wow.
Do we know if 1% is going to the Braves Foundation?
Thank you.
It's not.
What
not?
the fuck? You got to be kidding me.
Practice what you preach, you fraud. What are you talking
Wow.
about?
Well, it's like when you already
Wow.
give so much to the organization.
No,
you
that's
give
not
so
how that
much.
works.
No,
that's not how that
no.
lead by example. That's terrible leadership skills.
Hey, if that's real, I am legitimate. When did the Anthopoulos thing go down? A couple days ago, right?
4 days ago.
4 days ago. And has nobody? I mean, it's got to be something that people have asked, right? It's got to be something that people have brought up.
I read that 1% will not be going to the foundation.
Wow.
And have people been vocal about this? Have people like made comment
yeah,
on this?
fucking idiots.
Whoa,
Fucking idiots.
Because it's really none of your guys' business anyway what he does with his money and who he donates to.
Mm,
I think it is
that's
when
kinda
he
rude.
makes it everyone else's business.
yeah,
With the players that he brings in.
when he's
Well,
got
a lot
a
of
damn
guys-
samurai sword over the wrist that's getting ready to sign the contract. He's like 1%, right? Right.
1%.
Well-
We did that thing that we talked about, right?
A lot of guys, they like to do their donations and, be humble and not be braggadocious. Other guys
Braggadocious.
Other guys might put it out there, to inspire others to do the same. So it's kind of, different folks, different strokes. All I know is he's given millions and millions and millions to charity.
You think he's given millions to charity, plural?
Yeah. I mean, think of all the profits he made for the Braves.
Well, I
Picking
think
good players.
I think the argument is more so like I brought in this player who donated 1%, and because of me, that money got donated is more the argument that you need to go with.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the Braves are a publicly traded company.
Mhm.
And
Do you own Brave
shareholders-
stock?
Yeah.
How much?
fucking enough, bro. I got more than you.
You don't know that.
So
you don't know
watch your net worth because I'm right behind you.
I could be a shareholder in the Atlanta Braves.
No, you're not.
You don't know that.
I know you're not.
You've never seen my
because you're not
portfolio.
at the fucking meetings. You're not at the meetings.
I don't have. Jake goes to the meetings for me.
Jake's not there either.
That's what you think, brother.
I got a list of guys, shareholders. Me, A-Rod, Warren Buffett, Bezos, guys like that.
Yeah.
Not Jared Carrabis. Not Jake.
Not Jake.
Hey, I'm talking no disrespect.
Right.
Big guys. Big ballers.
Got it. Jake, how you feeling about those Breslow comments today? I know we'll probably get into it on Name Redacted tomorrow with Business Pat. We got Pat Light in the house for tomorrow night's episode because I'm just curious, from a baseball guy's perspective who's also very passionate about business, like, are the Red Sox running a good business right now? So we'll get into that with Pat Light tomorrow night. But Jake, where are you at right now after it's kind of fresh that those comments came out?
I'm not feeling great, Jared. Sounds like probably 2030 is the new target date. So I guess we just wait 6 more years and we'll be good.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw the video, Dallas. I know that you were at fantasy camp, but Jake is doing a reverse boycott of the season where there were a lot of people saying, fuck the Red Sox, don't spend money, don't go to the games, cancel Nesson. Jake said he's going to go to every game now as a reverse boycott.
You're
long
really going to make
81.
them pay by bearing witness to what they're doing? Is that how you're playing this, Jake? You're like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm watching it all so I can report everything and tell everybody what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thought is I'm just going to give them so much money that they have to care about the team and have no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That's
You
great.
chain yourself to the green monster.
Is Business Pat going to be able to work this into a write-off situation for you? I feel like that's got to be an angle we take here.
I mean, he's one of the smartest guys. We had a conversation last night, texted him. I was like, hey, like, what time works for you? And we came to an agreement within, I don't know, 2 minutes. I was like, this is why you're the best negotiator.
Because in essence, it becomes you donating to a poverty-stricken charity, and there's got to be a tax break there, right?
It has to be.
That's where my mind was.
Yeah. I mean, you break down Business Pat's time. Time is money. What is an hour and a half of Business Pat's time worth? And I mean, you could say it's millions. As a man whose net worth, I believe, is north of 30 million. So we'll see. Jay, hey, what year are we looking at for the MVP segment?
The legendary year of 1987.
Oh, 1987. Did the Twins win the World Series that year?
Did the Twins? Yes. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. All right. Jay, hey, take it away.
All right. So this is great. We teased it last time. It was George Bell in the AL and Andre Dawson in the NL. And these are both pretty fascinating and perplexing votes for their own reasons. Excited to dig into it, as I know Joey is as well. So let's start in the AL. George Bell. You look at it and you're like, okay, so his team finished second in the division to the Detroit Tigers. So you're like, all right, the team had a good season. George Bell was rewarded for that. You look a little deeper and you realize that the guy who finished second to him was Alan Trammell, who played for the Detroit Tigers, who were the team that beat the Toronto Blue Jays for the division title. And you're like, okay, so that doesn't necessarily start to track. And then you dig further into it because I was 2 years old in 1987 and I don't remember exactly the pennant race. But I was reminded of the fact that the Blue Jays suffered an utter collapse down the stretch in 1987 and basically barfed up the AL East title to the Tigers, who took it from them. And George Bell was not necessarily like innocent in the team's collapse and terrible play down the stretch. He did go on to lead the league in the American League in RBI and finished second in home runs with 47. It was an extremely tight vote. Bell finished with 332 vote points to
Shout out Big Mac, sorry.
No. Big Mac finished. Big Mac is one of the other guys who had at least some claim on an outstanding season or the AL MVP that year. But Trammell finished second in vote points with 311 and was a very, very viable and a much better candidate for lots of different reasons than George Bell. He had a better season. His team had a better season and won the title, the division title, as I just noted. Bell was 10th among vote getters in wins above replacement in the AL that season. A few seasons to shout out. Dallas started. Mark McGwire, 49 homers, led the league. 618 slugging.
Rookie record.
618 slugging percentage, led the league. This was a few years before the A's would go on to win the World Series themselves. Wade Boggs for the Red Sox and Roger Clemens for the Red Sox. Since the Red Sox were a 500-ish team that year, in fact, below 500, that probably washed away any chance they had, that in combination with the fact that they took votes from each other. But both of them contributed amazing individual seasons. Boggs hit 363 with a 461 on base percentage and a league leading 1049 OPS. By the way, those 363 and 461 also led the league. And Clemens had a 20-win, 9.4 wins above replacement season. That 9.4 and 20 wins both led baseball. Also, Paul Molitor, who didn't have the quantity maybe necessarily to win the MVP, but who himself hit 353 with 45 stolen bases and 16 homers for a team that finished third in the East in the Brewers. So, and that he also had a 39 game hit streak that season. So the takeaway here is that George Bell winning the MVP was a really bad decision and not one that is even mitigated by team circumstantial evidence because his own team collapsed and gacked up the division title. It's actually insane in hindsight that he wasn't punished more severely for that, given the load of other viable candidates that you had in the league, and the fact that the best candidate against his MVP candidacy was on the team that passed the Blue Jays. That's just it would never happen. You would never see this in 2024, for better or worse. And I think obviously for the better in this case. George Bell is a guy whose door I'm going to have to knock on, unfortunately.
So then, is this just a matter of...
That's the next thing I got to add to the soundboard is a door knocking sound. Every time that someone gets their MVP taken away, we need a little knock on the
this
door.
is an easy call. This is like one of the easiest takeaways in a long time. And I'm fine handing it to Alan Trammell over Clemens, who's the straight B-War leader. Because Trammell has his... Yeah, and Boggs also had a great season, but I think Trammell had the best combination of team success and personal success that season. And I think it's a nice, it would be a much more fitting MVP award in hindsight. Again, he finished second. Just to put some numbers on what Alan Trammell did, so I'm not so vague about it. He hit 343 with a 402 on base percentage and a 551 slugging, good for a 953 OPS, 28 homers, 21 steals, 105 RBI, 109 runs. And that was, by the way, out of a shortstop. So probably should have won the MVP.
There.
Any other takeaways?
No.
I'm a little afraid to knock on George Bell's door. I've heard he's like an intimidating dude.
Yeah, he was in HQ. I thought, were you not there that day? He came into the office and at HQ
I must have missed that. Oh,
yeah.
I was literally never in that one.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Wait, which one?
HQ2. That's when we met.
Is that HQ2? All right, yeah, I was there.
HQ1 is Milton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I missed George Bell for whatever reason.
Wait,
too bad.
George Bell. I'm thinking George Brett. Never mind.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I was
George
there
Bell
for George Brett.
You up. Yeah,
yeah. George Brett's energetic in a different kind of way. Anyway, sorry, George Bell. I don't know where he lives currently, but he was born in the Dominican Republic, San Pedro de Macorís, or however you pronounce that. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll head down to the DR. Yeah. Andre Dawson in the NL, another interesting one circumstantially because he was objectively not the best player in his league And the Cubs sucked ass that season. In fact,
last place.
And he became the first player to win the award while playing for a last place team.
I believe A-Rod in 03 with Texas was the next and the only two, unless someone else has done it. Mike Trout.
Nope, you're correct, man. A-Rod was the next one. And in fact, this is in the NL, it's kind of like a Cubs-centric thing because prior to Dawson, the only NL person to win it while even on a losing record team was Ernie Banks. So the Cubs, it comes back in 1987. So Dawson wins it for a last place Cubs team. Couple of things to note. He had 11 first place votes, which is obviously extremely low for an overall winner. Ozzie Smith finished second with 9 first place votes. So Dawson had the sexy counting stats. He led MLB in homers with 49. He led with 137 RBI as well. And he had a 287, 328, 568 slash line, which was an 896 OPS. A couple of things going on here other than the team finished in last place. Objectively, he had a 328 on base percentage, which is extremely low for an MVP winner and low even in the context of other candidates for the award this season. Like there's really no excuse, even if somebody wants to make the argument that on base percentage wasn't valued in the same way in 1987 that it was maybe in whatever year, 2024. Jack Clark, who played for the division winning Cardinals along with Ozzie Smith, who I already said finished second. Ozzie had a 392 on base percentage. Jack Clark had a 459 on base percentage. Tony Gwynn, who I'll get to in a little bit, had a 447 on base percentage. So it's almost criminal that a guy with a 328, which is 43rd in the NL that season, 43rd in the NL, won the award. So his 49 homers are obviously what jumps off the page. That was a career high for Andre Dawson, both at the time and what would go on to be his career high, by quite a bit. Also, by the way, his previous career high was 32. So easily the best power season that Andre Dawson had ever produced. But what's also important to know here is that in 1987, more home runs were hit in Major League Baseball than had ever been hit in a single season in Major League Baseball history. And the previous record was in 1986, the season before that. So the fact that he hit 49 home runs and led the league does mean something, but there was a juiced offensive, I'm not saying like steroids, but like a juiced offensive environment going on overall in 1980, and maybe it was steroids too. Not for Dawson specifically. I'm not slandering the man. I'm just saying in general in the sport, it was a raised offensive environment. So that I think needs to be taken into consideration as well. A couple of notes on the other candidates that had much better cases than Andre Dawson for the MVP. I already commented on Ozzie Smith. He also had 43 stolen bases and obviously was delivering his characteristic great defense for a division winner. Jack Clark, that teammate, 459 with a 597 slugging percentage as well. So it wasn't just on base percentage. Unfortunately, he only played 3 games after September 9th, which I think kind of flagged his candidacy a little bit. 2 guys who their seasons just have to be called out, and they just have to, if we were redoing the award, I think would be the 2 best candidates to actually win the award. And yes, I am taking Andre Dawson's MVP away. I'm sorry, Hawk, but you'll be seeing me. Tony Gwynn, rest in peace, finished 8th in the voting. 8th in the voting.
Crazy.
And that is because, presumably, the Padres had the worst record in the NL. So kind of weird that they rewarded Dawson on a last place team, but were reluctant to reward Tony Gwynn on a last in league team. But Tony Gwynn hit 370 that year. And I don't care what your opinion on batting average is. 370 is 370. And it came with a 447 on base percentage and a 511 slugging. So it's not like he was even prime Ichiro out there. He had a 511 slug, led NL in batting average hits and wins above replacement. He also added 56 steals that season, which was a career high. People of my age, I think, maybe Dallas doesn't suffer from this because he's a little bit older, but I think people my age and younger think of Tony Gwynn as kind of this rotund, slapping the ball everywhere, batting champion, savant of hitting. There was a period of time where Tony Gwynn was also a thief on the base paths, and 56 stolen bases represented a career high at the time and would go on to be a career high for Tony Gwynn. But from 1984 to 1989, so a 6-year run, Tony Gwynn averaged 34 stolen bases a season. So he was a more dynamic player than some people my age are able to remember. This was also the best case that Tony Gwynn probably would ever put up statistically for the MVP in a given season. And unfortunately finished 8th and would never win the MVP despite getting votes all the time, like basically every other season. Dallas, you want to say something about Gwynn?
I wanted to say I think the biggest factor here in him not getting the love and the recognition is what we talked about, which was the offensive outburst that was occurring in the game, the power that was occurring in the game, because what happens now? And remember how important the counting stats are to these old guys, right? You now have the 49 homers that leads the National League in a year where we have just broken the recently broken record for home runs hit in baseball. And we've got the number one dude in our league doing it. He's also driven in more runs than anybody. So you're tying together these power numbers, right? Hitting balls that count for at least one himself, and he's driven in more runs than anybody did. So I think those two factors right there, because when you look at the power numbers, I mean, it almost pales, right? 49, almost 50 homers, and Tony Gwynn hits 7. And then Andre Dawson, I mean, the fucking Hawks driving 49. In almost 140 runs, 137. And Tony Gwynn drove
basically
in
80 more. Yeah.
54. So I think it's a beautiful combination of the actual statistical categories that Hawk was pounding away at and the shift in the evolution of the game in that moment.
So you know what's crazy? Let me blow your mind here too.
I'll sit back.
You just outlined Dawson's incredible power advantage over Tony Gwynn. Andre Dawson hit 42 more home runs than Tony Gwynn hit in 1987. Tony Gwynn's OPS was higher. 62 points higher.
Yep.
62. Tony Gwynn's OPS was 958 that season, and Hawks was 896. It wasn't even that close. 900.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get a league-leading 218 hits overall. Singles still matter. 36 doubles, 13 triples, and 7 homers. Gwynn had a great season and was probably the best candidate for the MVP, even though he only hit 7 home runs. And Dallas's point is a great one to make. If your flavor is more of the power and speed variety, if that's what you were looking for, then Eric Davis should have been your MVP.
Yeah.
Shout out to one of my favorite baseball reference pages to go back to as a guy who obviously has very limited memories of 1980s baseball, if really any at all. And Eric Davis was just an unbelievable player, and really, in some ways, I think the closest thing to Ronald Acuna that the game had seen prior to Acuna's 2023 season. Eric Davis, by the way, the Reds finished second in the NL West, so they were not a garbage team. They were quite good, in fact.
Did you guys have the poster?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I had Ricky and Barry growing up.
Oh man,
I wish I had an Eric Davis poster. I wish I was that aware and cool.
Dude, he's with the that's why I call him 4-4 Mac, because he's got the gun. Like there's a big ass gun, I think, laying on a table, and there's fucking like balls in where the bullets would go, you know. And it's just, I don't know, it's sick,
dude. He must have been so cool to watch. Anyway, he had 37 homers and 50 stolen bases that year to go along with 100 RBI and 120 runs and a 991 OPS. 37 homers, 50 steals. I know that sounds less impressive immediately coming off of what Ronald Acuna just did, but it is one of only 3 seasons in Major League Baseball history to feature 30 homers and 50 stolen bases. Acuna 2023, Davis 1987, and Barry Bonds 1990. Those are the only ones. This was coming off a season prior in 1986 where he had posted 27 homers and 80 stolen bases, so a little bit more power and a little less speed, but still an incredible run that this dude went on. But either Eric Davis or my choice, Tony
How
Gwynn.
about the fucking leg kick for the leg kick?
Just a badass dude from 86 to what was it? 80, basically 90, 89. Like one of the best players in baseball.
Well,
Eric
and
Davis,
it just looked like
an average of 30 homers and 41 stolen bases with an OPS hovering just below 900 over that stretch.
And it looked like he was just absolutely fucking walloping the baseball because of where his hand position was, like just the fucking, yeah.
So I'm taking it away from Dawson, giving it posthumously to Tony Gwynn. And in the AL, George Bell. Hope you enjoyed your time with the AL MVP. It's now going to Alan Trammell.
Wow.
And that's
so we got a double takeaway.
Oh, yeah. And I feel basically no guilt doing it.
Damn.
This was a bad and ultimately very perplexing vote on both sides because
sounds it.
It felt like the voting block was kind of fighting with itself in both cases and ended up reaching some pretty bad conclusions. No offense to them personally.
Pretty hypocritical as well to be like, oh, this guy was on the worst team in the league, so we can't give it to him, but we will give it to someone that was on the worst team in their division.
Yes. Just go all the way, right?
Yeah. Or just give it to the fucking best player. I don't know. I feel like it's not so hard.
So hard. We've come a long way.
We have. And I feel like that. I
Part
remember
of the segment, really.
I think A-Rod winning in 2003 was pivotal, at least in my lifetime, to be like, they're getting it. Like the MVP award shouldn't have anything to do with the rest of your fucking teammates. Like A-Rod was the best player. There you go. MVP. But it is interesting. The other thing too, and maybe you've had some of these conversations. I'm sure you have had some of these conversations, Dallas. But going back and like hearing some of these seasons statistically that these players were having that were just completely undervalued and unappreciated in like the 80s and the 70s. We're talking about like, guys that are having like 9 to 11 win seasons. And everyone's like, that's nice. But this guy hit the most home runs, so he wins the MVP. Seeing some of the contracts that players are getting right now where they're not even the same sentence as the talent that someone like Tony Gwynn had or whomever. And it's like my most expensive or lucrative contract that I ever got was for like 6 years, $8 million total. And to think like if I was just born with this talent a couple of decades later, this would be the equivalent of like $350 million if I was just born in a different time. Like, have you talked to players that have just been like, fuck, like I am more like my talent then is worth $300 million plus now. In my bank account, I have $500,000, maybe.
Think about a name like Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about what that dude has.
He's like a $35 million a year pitcher.
Like what Dave Stewart is fucking running out there for you in his stretch when, I think it was from, was it 87 or 88? I think 87 was the first year he won 20. Yeah, that was first year. He won fucking 20 ball games 4 years in a row. But that 4-year period, when you talk about like getting yourself paid, and and this is after, this is right when like fucking like, yo, this is a bad man.
Bad time to be a pitcher.
This is a bad man. And it was a terrible time to be a fucking great pitcher like that, right? Where you don't get the love. You just don't get that financial love. Like you're running a dude out there who's 250 innings, 270 innings, 280
north of that. So you're talking.
I don't think Stu had a 300.
1987, he threw 261 and a third innings. 1988, 275 and 2/3 innings. 1989, 257 and 2/3 innings. And then in 1990, threw 267 innings. And then he had a little bit of a dip and only threw 226 innings in 1991. And then he really fell off in 1992 when he threw 199 and a third innings.
Yeah, that was his last year in Oakland too, 92.
Yeah, so from 1987 to 1992, he averaged 248 innings a season with a 3.56 ERA and a strikeout. He didn't strike out a lot of guys.
No, he didn't. He did not. He never. That's the one thing. He never led the league in strikeouts. Like it wasn't super dominant like that. But I mean, he started to like look like when the forkball came along. Like shit, just shit just got different. Shit just got real different for him.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, on the Dave Stewart thing, I get your point that if his talent came around now, he'd obviously be making, like much more money than he made at the time. Dave Stewart was a very well compensated pitcher for his era. There was a time where I believe Dave Stewart was the highest paid pitcher in Major League Baseball.
At $4.3 million.
Yes, or I think it was even the contract before that with the A's. It was the 2 and 7 year contract. Like if it's not number one, somebody can check me on this, but it's a very, very high rank within the context of when he played. And also like,
but the idea is we're taking that and looking at it, what that would look like now though, right?
For sure.
Wasn't that the exercise?
Well, yeah, I just thought you were talking about guys who's like missed out on these massive paydays. And I'm just saying like he was paid very handsomely for his era. I think that's
for his era
relevant.
I'm saying if you took Dave Stewart and put him in 2024's free agent class, like he's in line to make north of $300 million.
Like, let me ask you this, Jay. Hey, who do you have?
Whoa.
Jay, before
there's no fucking way Dave Stewart is making $300 million.
Stop. Before you go that route, let me ask you this question.
Sure. Yeah.
Because how much money did Carlos Rodon make?
Like 125.
How much money has Garrett Cole made? $300 million? Right?
Garrett Cole and Yamamoto are the only people to earn $300 million contracts. Dave Stewart was not a star level pitcher until he was 30 years old.
Right. And that's where Garrett Cole is 3 years? He's 33.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole has been a star pitcher for almost a decade at this point. Like these.
Oh, yes.
Garrett Cole was awesome for many years prior to getting a $300 million contract. Dave Stewart was an ace for like the era that you cited, where he was like for sure one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Age 30 through 35 seasons.
Yeah, the Cy Young results reflect that. He finished 3rd, 4th, 2nd, and 3rd over a 4-year span. Like, those are basically the only really good seasons of his entire career. And I'm not diminishing the man in any way because he's obviously a badass.
No.
But like, he also capitalized on like the really successful portion of his career.
The dominant run, for sure.
Yeah, like he was able to be paid the most.
He was 36
in his
for his
sport.
highest paid season.
He was what?
He was 36 was his
years old.
highest paid season.
Yeah, so he timed it pretty well.
Yeah, and
like,
how much was
relative
that?
to
$4.3 million.
Yeah, and that's after Oakland.
Hey,
Yeah.
interest
4.3 million in the
still
big
could be
leagues
doing
right
quite
now.
well for himself.
Yeah, like
Stu's doing, buddy. Stu's doing just
fine.
Stu is doing.
Yeah, I wasn't like worried specifically about him. I'm just saying.
Stu's about to buy a fucking baseball team.
he basically may have like
Crying
just
tears for a man
under
about to buy a
20
baseball
million
team.
career earnings. 20 million.
He just made what?
It was just under 20 million was his career earnings.
Yeah.
All right, so like one season of Stroman.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you get like one
Stroman,
Lucas Giolito
pitches,
season. No, it's Lucas Giolito. That makes it feel uglier, doesn't
if
it?
If Stroman pitches 140 innings, his vesting option, his player option will then kick in, and he can make himself $18 million.
For all of Dave Stewart's career, you too can purchase one season of Lucas Giolito in the present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But it is crazy to think about.
Hey, it's better to be Dave Stewart than it was to be the guys before before free agency existed, though.
Yeah.
Think about the players who played during the reserve clause. You literally couldn't leave. They just
No.
told you what you were making. Hey,
Like,
you're
this is-
renewed again. Guess what? You're renewed again. Oh, you won the World Series and the MVP? Here is $1 more.
Yeah. So Bob Gibson Bob Gibson never made over 175 grand in his career. And when he did make 175 grand, it was in his age 39 and final season of his big league career in 1975. His entire career, he made 1.3 million.
Yeah. And how many years?
What was that? 9?
9. In 9 years. Well, how about this? So from 1959,
he played 17 big league seasons, but it looks like from 1964 to 1975 is where they have salary information.
Sure. Okay. So as far as all the salary is concerned, I did the same kind of, I pulled up a dude who I knew through for fucking ever, Jim Cott. And he pitched from 1959 to 1983, 25 seasons. And in those 25 seasons that they have salary information available for, he made a total of $1.049 million. He made $1,049,000.
Good value for the team.
It's great value for the team.
Over a 25-year period. I mean, Jim Cott was a 3-time All-Star, a 16-time Gold Glove winner, won the fucking World Series, like all for $1 million over 25 years.
Over 25 years. Yeah. Bob Gibson in 1964 was making 30 grand to pitch for the Cardinals.
And
The
when
Beatles were
1964?
touching down. 1964, Bob Gibson, 30 grand.
Yeah, Jim Cott was making 17 grand.
For the price of Willie Mays' entire career, you could purchase the upcoming season of Luke Weaver for the Yankees.
You know what? We're on to a segment here. I know it.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I know it. It's right there.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Laugh at the exploitation of others. We can make it a little pithier than that, but yeah. How all these people got ripped off.
It's so fucked up. It feels it's criminal.
Well, tickets were less then, so if you think about it, the owners probably got ripped off the most.
Yeah, that's true.
Joey, I hate you.
The owners got ripped off the most.
Yeah.
By the way, Jay, hey, do you want your year for next episode?
Oh,
Love
yeah.
it. I'd love it.
Next week, Justin Havens will be examining the MVP case from 1972.
Ooh. So a little far back, but not that far back. Kind of far back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got Dick Allen winning in the AL. That's while
Dickie
he was
Al.
with the White Sox, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a man who's MVP. I'm not necessarily inclined to go take away.
Yeah.
Given the stories you hear about Dick Allen. So Dick Allen it looks like off the top, Dick Allen is going to primarily be competing against some really kind of legendary pitching seasons from two people in his own division, Gaylord Perry and Wilbur Wood. Wilbur Wood being a teammate on the White Sox. So we'll see whether Dick Allen's offensive season holds up. And then in the NL, we've got Johnny Bench winning the MVP. So obviously, maybe the greatest catcher in baseball history, winning an MVP for the Reds as part of the Big Red Machine. We'll see whether that holds up in this case as well. Interestingly enough, I think it's going to be a teammate, only this time it's offensively in Joe Morgan, and an unbelievable pitching season from Steve Carlton. And
there
the
you
Phillies are
go.
gonna be
Put
his
some
primary,
respect on it.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun with the Steve Carlton numbers because, there are some cases to be made that it is one of the greatest single
ever.
pitching seasons in baseball and certainly NL history. So next week will be fun. 1972.
Someone's getting their motherfucking MVP taken. I can tell you that.
Yeah, maybe.
Smells like
It's
it.
happening. It's happening.
Okay. Now it's time for our Cleveland Guardians Mount Rushmore segment, which I'll preface by saying was probably the least fun I've ever had researching from Mount Rushmore. There weren't a lot of directions to go. Like when you haven't won a championship in 80 fucking years, it's like, all right, like what like what eras do we really need to highlight? Obviously, like those mid to late 90s Indians teams. I mean, it's I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but when the best options are guys that died before colored television, then I'd get a little bored. I need some more modern options, and there just weren't any, so I just created them for myself. I didn't pick like guys from the early 1900s. I just wasn't interested in them.
You just didn't pick the best fucking players of the organization. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'm out on that. I'm just going to make up my own.
So I'm interested to see where Jared goes with that specifically, because I do think. No, I do. No, hold on. Hold on.
It's
I'm not saying he's going to be right.
I can smell the assholery behind it, Jay.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not.
This is a week where I'm obviously going to be there to provide the correct
Bartolo's
answer.
On this. Bartolo's on this.
Bartolo Colon.
He better not be.
Yeah. Travis Hafner made the cut.
Pronk, I could see it.
I'm interested to see, because I do think there's something to the idea that the people who are actual franchise leaders, quote unquote, in some of these stats actually don't belong on this Mount Rushmore. So I have the four I have. I'm extremely, extremely confident that are the correct answers, having an appreciation for the franchise's history. But
Jay, is it really okay? So let me ask you this: is it just about one spot for you then?
It's not even, honestly, it really wasn't even about one spot. I came to my conclusion of who the four guys were pretty quickly, but not without a lot of research, because I've got a lot of stuff to back up each of these guys. But like, I'm not putting Knapp and Speaker on. I'll just start there. I'm not putting the two guys who lead the franchise in wins above replacement on the franchise Mount Rushmore. Neither of them found a spot for me. I appreciate their greatness as it relates to baseball history. I don't think anybody in the modern understanding of the Cleveland franchise is associating them with the team in the way that some absolutely essential people who are honored above those guys in the franchise's own determination are there. So Speaker, Lajoie, like I got respect for their place, but they're not Cleveland franchise Mount Rushmore people.
Well, then what are they?
The motherfucker started his playing career in the 1800s. Like, how am I supposed to have an appreciation for that?
It's for the same reason that you would argue that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, because you now have to argue that. That's what I'm. No. I'm absolutely right. I'm absolutely right.
Baseball museum where it's like, all right, we're appreciating the history of the game.
I don't.
And
have
what
to
is the Mount Rushmore doing?
Hold on, I don't have to argue that, because all four other people that I selected are in the Hall of Fame, and I think the overall contributions of the people that we're ultimately discussing are close enough in impact that I don't think saying that, okay, because Knapp has 79.6 wins above replacement with the Guardians and, so-and-so has 63, that is a definitive conclusion for me, because like to Jared's original point, the last World Series was 1948. That to me is far more important when talking about the Mount Rushmore team than what happened when the team was the fucking Napoleons or the team was the Naps. Like, I know, named after the guy, but like, to me, like, I think Jared's correct that there are no like elite options here as it relates to
besides
baseball,
Bob Feller.
Besides baseball history.
Bob Feller is a slam dunk.
Bob Feller is the most. Yeah, Bob Feller is the most. Like if we're talking about, if we're eliminating any sort of ability to connect to what the players that are on the list have done, well then you start at Bob Feller's generation and you move forward because I mean, so that's how we're doing the exercise.
The previous generation. I don't.
Well, it feels like that's what's happening.
No, I don't think their contributions are so superior statistically where they would outweigh the fact that these other guys okay, so I'm curious to see whether you left somebody off, because I think it's going to ultimately be indefensible to leave this guy off of the Rushmore, even if his statistics don't justify it alone relative to Speaker and some other people.
Me?
So, no, anybody. There's a guy in addition to Feller that I think must be on this list. Must be on the list. And he's a historical guy. And
that's fine. I do not have I have without. I mean, I was gonna say without saying too much. This will give away one of my guys. I have 3 Hall of Famers and a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame but isn't.
Oh, okay. So I have 4 Hall of Famers. Can we talk about Feller for a second though, since we all seem to be on the same page?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure all these guys get their love. I think a lot of these old strikeout numbers lose their value, lose their meaning with the elevated strikeout stuff that's going on in this generation of baseball. But don't worry about the number. Know that Bob Feller led the league in strikeouts 7 times. And that's an elite number over the history of Major League Baseball. And he led the league in innings pitched 5 times. He missed 3 years of the literal peak of his career due to service. And despite that, over a period that bracketed his service, averaged a 2.68 ERA with 284 innings pitched per season. Bob Feller, I mean, and any subjective discussion of the era in which Bob Feller pitched and the people that he played against and the people that watched the game will tell you that Bob Feller was feared as any pitcher in baseball at the time. And I don't know what exact value to provide to that, but it means something to me that he also led the league. Like, there's a lot of numbers to back it up, but he was also, like, at the time, contemporarily viewed as a dominant ace level pitcher. And so that's why he's on the Rushmore, obviously.
Yes.
And didn't he throw fastball faster than a motorcycle?
He sure did. Little scooter bike.
Great call.
Sure did.
I seen that video.
Yep.
Isn't that in the movie Fastball?
Right through that paper.
All right, so we all have Bob Feller, Joe?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bob Feller. Number 2, I do have Lou Boudreau on.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Lou Boudreau. Well, because if you're gonna like, one of the big things that we always talk about on the Mount Rushmore is having represented eras of championships, and the Guardians have a championship. And he was on the team, and he was the MVP in 1948. So, I mean, if you're gonna pick a dude to represent that era, 8-time All-Star, World Series title, Hall of Fame, batting champ, and he played all but 1 season in Cleveland. No, 2. Excuse me, he played 2. I mean, if you even want to count that, his final year, he played 4 games with the Red Sox. So the vast majority, the bulk, the years of how many consecutive years? 9 years with straight years with MVP votes. Like, that's going to be the representative from that era for me.
I'm so glad you have him on there. I'm so glad, because he was my grandfather's favorite player, and he, I think, from what I can tell, was one of the favorite players and maybe the emotional center of the 1948 and that era of Cleveland baseball. And his numbers don't look particularly sexy when you go back. Like, he had 68 career homers and 51 career stolen bases. So, like, what exactly did this guy do? Your point that he had MVP votes basically every year over a decade straight, including a winner. And he was there was a 9-season stretch where he was basically a 6-win player in baseball. He was an excellent player. And again, to put the stats in context, there have been 113 shortstops in the live ball era to accumulate 5,000 or more plate appearances over their career. 113. Boudreau's adjusted OPS of 120 is the 4th highest of those 113. The only ones who are higher are Archie Vaughn, Hanley Ramirez, and Nomar Garciaparra. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it. So, like, no, they don't look sexy now. They were excellent at the time, and he was not a home run hitter, but he was a doubles hitter. He led the league in doubles 3 times and was up near the top of the league many, many other times. So it was just a different type of hitter, and I'm so pleased that you had Lou Boudreau. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, did you know Denny McClain married his daughter?
I did not.
Yeah. Last 30-game winner, Denny McClain. Yeah, married Lou Boudreau's daughter.
All right, so you and I are aligned on Feller Boudreau. That's a good start. Dallas, Joey?
Yeah, I have both of them. I also have Bob
Great.
Lemon.
Oh, nice pick.
Would you say
Can you
Bob
tell
Wick?
us?
Bob Lemon.
Can you tell us
Bob
a little bit
Lemon.
about Bob Lemon?
I chose Bob Lemon kind of for the same reason that when you talk about missing a gap like 43, 44, 45, he was gone. He was doing great things for his country as well. And then he came back and was a huge part of really when you sustained success over a period of time, sustained production over a period of time, almost 300 fucking innings year in and year out. Almost 300. Yeah, 2 years where he did have 300 innings. Or no, just 1 year where he had 3 innings, and then back-to-back years he led the league. But Bob Lemon, how many years in a row? 7 or 8 years in a row when you're talking about MVP votes as well. I think he missed out on 2 seasons.
I think it's pronounced
7-time
Lemon.
All-Star. Lemon. It's Lemon. It's Bob Lemon.
He did not make my list, but I'm glad he's getting a little bit of love, obviously on the 48 team. And the one thing I'll add to what you said is that unlike Bob Feller, Bob Lemon showed the fuck up in the 1948 World Series. Bob Feller did not have a great. We just assume probably that Bob Feller just dominated in 48, and that's why they won the World Series. Not so. Actually, his ERA in the World Series was over 5. But Bob Lemon in 1948, in game number 2, threw a complete game. Allowed 1 run over obviously 9 innings. And then in game 6, allowed 3 and 7 1/3. So he was excellent in the World Series and a big reason why they actually won the World Series in 48. So shout out Bob Lemon, who would have probably been 5th on my list.
Wow.
So maybe we should. I'm picking Knapp. They named the fucking team after him.
They did, which
Like,
is
how the
like,
fuck
it
you gonna
sounds
pick him?
crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
He has the most WAR. He was a day laborer before. His dad, I'm reading the Wikipedia right now. Okay.
Yeah, this is good.
So I literally have the Wikipedia out. When he went to be a pro, his dad said,
Yeah, I didn't think you were recalling from conversations, Joe.
But how are we going to I feel like if this guy, his numbers obviously are
Joey,
so,
I'm with you. They named the
so
fucking
much-
team after the dude, all right? They named
they're so
the
much
team
better
after the
than-
dude.
No offense, Looper Joe, great guy. And I know Jay, I don't want you to yell at me, but his numbers are so much better than and I
My
get
grandfather's
he
ghost
played
will
like
be yelling at you. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you know, Lou Pedra, fucking the guy's amazing, won a World Series. But the 40s is that much difference than I feel like if you're playing
In the
late
1800s?
Yeah, because then you're like dodging syphilis and shit. Like that's pre-vaccines. It's harder.
I mean,
it's more impressive. To
they
put
didn't
up
even
those
win a
numbers
World
back then.
Series as he while he was on the team. They didn't win shit. They
Dude,
were
I'm
fucking
sure they
bad.
had a World Series.
Dude was putting up 10-win seasons when you could die from the sniffles. That's
Exactly.
pretty big.
I don't know if there was a World Series back then, so I don't really.
There wasn't.
Probably
1901,
wasn't.
right?
There probably
Well,
wasn't.
hold on. They were
When
called
was
the
the first
Cleveland
World Series?
Naps all the
1901?
way through 1914. So that team had chances to win. Maybe not while he
1903.
was a good.
1903.
He was not
Red
on the
Sox
team in
and A.
1914.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had chances to win. Didn't fucking do it.
Listen, he was the manager of the team. He played for the team. He put up the most WAR on the team in history and only played.
Yeah, it's
Like-
probably only because he was manager. Kept trotting his old ass out there.
He
He was like,
played
I'm going
10
to
he
lead
only
this
played-
franchise in war someday. I better get out there again.
Yo, 12 seasons leads the team in WAR.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe.
Nah,
Come
you
on.
guys are going to
Pretty
be
good.
so fucking wrong here in a second.
Yeah, because my number 3, that boy Country Strong. It's Jim Thome.
Gots to
That's what I'm
be.
fucking-
Gots
Yeah.
to be. There's
Yeah.
a literal statue of the man out in front of the building.
Statue also has the longest home run in the history of the ballpark. A grand total of 13 seasons with the Cleveland franchise. Had an OPS of almost 1,000 in 13. An OPS plus of 152 for the 13 years he was in Cleveland. 980 OPS at 287 with a 566 slug. On base at a 414 clip. Obviously a Hall of Famer, 5-time All-Star, which is, I feel like he had some monster seasons with Cleveland. he still had some great years after he left, but when you think of Jim Thome, you close your eyes,
unquestionably,
you will picture him in that Indians jersey. I know we can't say that, but I mean, that is what the jersey said.
His best seasons were with Cleveland, and his most sustained success was with Cleveland. No question about it. He's on my list as well. MVP votes in 8 seasons. And then 2 things I'll add to you. He was both awesome over an extended period of time. His career 147 OPS plus is equal to McCovey, Stargell, and Edgar Martinez, and better than Pujols and Votto. And his 197 adjusted OPS that he put up in 2002 specifically is the 4th best single season by any AL batter in the wild card era by adjusted OPS, bettered only by 2022 Judge, 2001 Giambi, and 2018 Trout. So Jim Thome at his peak was an unbelievable offensive force. And I have incredible memories of watching him. It was very sad when he left. And I was just as sad when Manny left, but Manny went on to do too much of his, in fact, all of his, like, ultimately
with Boston
best work, not even best work, but like the World Series winning stuff, obviously with Boston. So for me, he's not going to make this list. And Thome is my representative from that 90s run as well. Great player and seemingly a great dude too, which doesn't hurt.
You know what? I'm going to have to make the switch from Bob Lemon.
Bob Lemon's getting the boot?
Yeah, Bob
Lemon's got a quick moment.
Oh, fuck. That's the first time, I think, in Mount Rushmore history that someone got kicked off the Rushmore during the segment.
It is. I had to unchisel him, and here's why. Why. Because Jay, one of my great memories. When you talk about great memories, and this is kind of why I make the switch. Bob Feller was still around my rookie season, and he was still around in my first big league camp. And I remember him driving by after the national anthem in Goodyear, and him like stopping and just like watching me throw a pitch and then tipping his hat and saying, "Good luck, Chuck and Duck," and just drove off. And like it's not like, I'm not saying this like he had to stop. I was number fucking 3,000, right? Like I was not, I had nothing cool had happened. It was just him being like who he was at the ballpark. And then the Thome reference, the reason I say that, or the reason I tell that story is because Bob Feller is the representation also again from the 48 team. Sorry, Jay, he did not pitch that well, as you pointed out. But the Jim Thome as well. I've told the story about me running into him during my the Big 12 tournament when we were staying in Texas, and he was at the fucking hotel that we're staying at. I go down, get a ball signed, had a nice little conversation. But then I've told the story about how fast forward to spring training, I end up facing him, and I throw a fucking tired cutter that he ends up pounding off the left field wall for a single because he's not going to second in February. It's just not going to happen. And he like stopped and told me, hey, look, if you're going to throw that pitch, maybe start it in, or, maybe put a bigger loop in it if you're going to keep that thing down and away. And this is all just like in passing, but hey, good luck. And so having those memories of that dude, because I still have like the Jim Thome ball that he signed for me in that fucking hotel bar is sitting on top of my gun safe right now.
It's a good pick.
So sorry to get unchiseled there, Lemon.
Yeah, that's tough. We've never seen that. The one year that Jim Thome led the league in home runs was his first year after leaving Cleveland, but he actually hit more home runs the last 2 years. He led the league with 47 homers in 2003, but he hit 52 with Cleveland the year before and 49 the year before that. Had a 197 OPS plus in 2002. Jesus Christ. 1,122. Or a 1 dot, what do you call it, Joe? A 1.122 OPS?
Yeah, I would say that. According to my calculations.
All right, so that's 3. I mean, I'm doing pretty good for how I preface this. Yeah,
You're
I
killing
thought
it.
here's where I probably
You got to bring it home though. You got to bring it home here.
I know I'm not going to bring it home because you already said that you have 4 Hall of Famers. I said I have 3 Hall of Famers and a guy that I think should be in the Hall of Fame but isn't. My number 4 is Kenny Lofton.
He definitely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Kalo.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that his place on the Mount Rushmore, people will disagree with it because he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he should be.
So I am in full support of Kenny Lofton as a Hall of Famer. I think he's a criminally underrated player in the history of baseball. I think he was an immediate fall off the ballot guy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got 3.2% of the vote in 2013 and obviously fell off ever since. To me, he was the most fun that I had watching from this mid 90s to late 90s Indians team, or Guardians, at the time Indians. And just to shout him out, obviously 92 to 96, averaged 65 steals a season to go along with an 820 OPS and a 316 batting average. So like he could basically do it all. And grew into some power later in his career, a little modest power. But just a gem of a player to watch. I can't find room for him because I'm including Tommy, but Kenny Lofton absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. Does anybody else have Lofton? All right.
No.
No one. All right. That's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine going 3 for 3 and then having someone that I can put on there with a little bit of conviction that's different from everybody else. I feel like that's how most of my Mount Rushmores have been. I feel like I've been in lockstep for like the first 3 guys, and then I kind of go out on a limb on number 4, but I feel pretty good about my Lofton pick.
Jay, hey, you want to know what Kenny Lofton's career numbers are against me?
Yeah, sure. What are they?
Well, he doesn't have any.
How many ABs?
Because he never faced you, or because like you're talking about 0-0-0?
No, I only faced him one game a few times.
Oh, you shut him down.
My rookie year. Yeah.
So he was so tired at that point. Probably, right? Like
for sure. I punched him out, and he was
40-year-old man.
He was as bitter, like he was so fucking angry that he got punched out. So fucking angry. It was a fucking 2-seam down and away, back whipped it over the outside part of the plate. He gave up on it and was like, no, that's not a fucking strike. Yeah, sorry.
The side by side of Kenny Lofton versus Ichiro Suzuki. Kenny Lofton's got him beat in wins above replacement, home runs, RBI, stolen bases, on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, and OPS plus. They are equal. They are both 107 career OPS plus.
Yeah, I don't really understand the Lofton like lack of support totally either, because do people see him as something of a compiler because he was like a role player for like the final half decade of his career, or
it's literally because he played. Off the top of my head,
obviously he played for a billion teams. Yeah,
he played for Cleveland for 10 years.
Yeah,
and then he had a 17 big league year career, but he played for 10 teams after Cleveland.
Correct.
Yeah, just year to year to year to year to year to year to year.
If he had
hold
just
on, one of those teams before Houston was before Cleveland, but yes, 9 teams after Cleveland.
Yeah. So if he had just played 5 years in New York and then 3 more years somewhere else, right, and then finished out with like one, like, you know, on a 1-year deal for 2-year season, like, I think that changes the perspective. I think the fact that he just like bounced around for a decade, does that hurt the image? It's like a Hall of Fame player doesn't have 1-year deals for a decade.
Right. Well, he almost turns into, like you said, Jay, kind of labeling him that role player, you know, like, hey, is this a guy that can, you know, we can use for speed and defense late in the game? Is this a guy who, you know, maybe he's not gonna punch out a ton, so we can trust him to move the game along in late situations? But you're not building around a guy like that, especially at that point in his career. And so he's not going to remain as pivotal to your success over the long haul. And I think that's why after he left Cleveland, not a single all-star appearance. There was nothing that was like capturing your eye or capturing your attention to the point where he was going to give you the notion that we need to keep him here. Like, he's going to be every reason why we get to where we go. He may have later been that fringe player that you hope, if things shake out well, could help get you over the hump, but he's not the one moving the needle.
But that to me, like, should enhance his case because it also comes with what I consider to be like a Hall of Fame level peak. Like Kenny Lofton was a great player for the better part of like 92 to let's say 99, 8-season run. He was basically a 6-win player. And like, is that the inner circle of the Hall of Fame? No. But to me, like the overall package, to Jared's point, is Hall of Fame worthy. And we've, without doing, Bane's content, like we've elected much worse players over the last 15 years. And more to the point, like he just deserved a conversation. And the fact, like Johan, that he didn't really even get that conversation is just ridiculous and totally unjustifiable. Well, I've revealed 3 of mine. Joey and Dallas, are you guys?
I'm out.
Yeah, Jared's out. Dallas, I think, is at 3 also with Boudreaux, Feller, and
what we
Tommy.
got: Boudreaux,
Feller, Tommy,
and oh my God.
I mean, I'll give my 4th if nobody else wants to, but
I'm gonna pick Tommy, which that was my 3rd.
Okay.
And my 4th, which I'm gonna go with Jose Ramirez because obviously you guys didn't pick Jose Ramirez, some of you, and that might be cool now, but in the future, it's gonna be the pick that ages well. And he's already up here in the WAR category, and how many years is he in?
He's played 11 for Cleveland. Yeah.
So he's 30 years old, and he's already competing with Tomei, who I also picked, in terms of WAR, who's had a full career. And this team doesn't win World Series, but he was on the team that almost won the World Series.
Yeah.
So that's as good as it gets for the Indians. And it's Jose Ramirez, 5 All-Stars, 4 Silver Sluggers. And he knocked the God out Tim Anderson, and that's going to live on too. That's probably going to be a statue of that.
I mean, if you want to honor this era of Cleveland baseball, like I think Joe Ram, to your point, when he wraps up his Cleveland career, is going to have a similar Cleveland case to what Kenny Lofton is presenting. Obviously, the shape of those contributions is not the same, but I think he's a similarly valuable player, and maybe even more so than Kenny, given that, Joe Ram's come much closer to winning the MVP than Kenny really ever did. But I just, if you want him over Lofton, that's fine. I can't take him over my 4th, though.
I could have sworn Joe was going to go Chief Wahoo there.
Chief Wahoo. Wow. No. Oh, my 4th was Knapp because you said Knapp too, right, Joe?
Oh, right,
Mike
right. All right.
Yeah.
No, Knapp Lajoie. Because the fucking team was named after him.
All right. That's fine.
Mike Napoli.
So
they don't get to the World Series in 16 without Mike Napoli. People forget that.
All right. The correct answer for whatever place you want to put him on your Rushmore is Larry Doby. Larry Doby 100% has to be on the Mount Rushmore. He literally broke the color barrier in the AL 3 months after Jackie Robinson broke his. He is an inner circle legend within the Cleveland organization. He is one of the people whose jersey number is retired. Along the only other people that we've mentioned whose jersey numbers are retired by the Cleveland franchise are Boudreaux, Doby, Feller, Lemon, and Tomey. That's it. Among people that are in this conversation, really. Larry Doby was not just a guy who broke the color barrier either. He was a legitimately awesome player over a 7-season stretch from 49 to 55, averaged an 899 OPS. And he was made 7 straight All-Star teams and is in the real Baseball Hall of Fame. He's behind only Lofton, Tomey, and Joe Ram in terms of WAR by batters post-integration in Cleveland history. So I can appreciate that Larry Doby on a pure numbers perspective is not quite Joe Ram, and he's probably not quite Kenny Lofton, but you cannot overstate his impact in the same regard that, or in a similar regard to that you cannot overstate Jackie Robinson's impact. And Larry Doby, to me, has to be on the Cleveland Mount Rushmore. And in fact, if I had to make them ordered, I would put Larry Doby as number 1.
Wow.
Great call.
Dallas,
Not some
did you
fucking
do this?
slouch either. Like, Basically has the same wins above
Yeah,
replacement in a Cleveland uniform as Joe Ram. So he was an awesome player. So yeah, I think he needs to be honored, and I think the Cleveland franchise feels the same way. But that's my 4. So Doby, Tomey, Boudreaux, and Felon.
Dallas, did you do your 4?
Yeah, Knapp was my last one.
Oh yeah. Joe, are you out?
Yeah, I got 4.
Joe Ram. All right. That is the Cleveland Indians, Spiders, Guardians franchise Mount Rushmore. Next week, who we got?
I mean, this is it. We are coming down to the
Red
final
Sox,
2,
A's.
folks. Red Sox and A's. So next week is the Athletics.
Wow. Okay.
Come prepared, Big D.
Wow.
A lot of pressure on you for this one.
Wow.
You're going to have to look Dave Stewart in the eye if you don't put him on your Mount Rushmore. Literally. You have to face real consequences here.
I'm not staring that stare in the eye. Not going to happen. Yeah,
Where
that's
does
not
Mark
going to be easy.
Kotze fit? Does
That's
Zach
not gonna be
Geloff
easy.
make an appearance?
I can tell you that Mark Kotze does not make my Oakland A's Mount Rushmore.
What
I hate
about
to reveal, I hate to reveal
JJ
that.
Blood Day, baby? This is going to be a fun one.
You know what?
I'm already
Yeah.
excited for this one. Yeah.
Just
Because you know what you got to work with on this one too? A lot of black and white photos.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I? Fucking A. Yeah. Connie Mack. Can I throw him out there?
Mm.
Can I throw Connie Mack out there?
I mean, I feel like you kind of have to put Scott Hatterberg on there. It's like,
Wow.
without Scott Hatterberg, do the A's have a movie made about them? No.
I actually think there's real parallels between the exercise we just went through with Cleveland and what we're going to have to go through with the Athletics.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of like, this guy too old to make the cut.
There's one guy who's probably like a really easy choice in a way that maybe nobody was for Cleveland, but outside
Lefty
of that,
Grove?
that's not who I was going to say, but
Or are you going to say?
Ricky Henderson. But
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like a guy.
of
where
the
it's like,
old people.
Yeah, you have to shuffle all the way back to like the Philadelphia A's and
No, it's just like some of their best candidates are black and white photo guys. And like outside of Ricky, in order to not include those type of people, you kind of have to stretch the case to be more about team success and era and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting.
yeah, like how do you divvy up Hudson, Mulder, Zito? How do you do that? Like there has to be one representative of that threesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't
Or
not
does
have
there?
them represented. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I actually don't know
Miguel-
because I haven't done the research yet, but
Right. We'll get into it. I'm probably going to have 2002 American League MVP Miguel Tejada will make the Mount Rushmore.
I mean, what about Canseco?
Canseco, McGuire, Derek
A's
Martin.
have some real bad MVP winners. Real bad.
Tough.
Tejada,
Hey,
Canseco.
Derek Barton was good for a year.
No, MVP winners.
I know. I'm just saying,
Oh.
like, something to consider. Derek Barton.
Eckersley,
Derek Barton
Canseco,
catches
and
strays
Tejada.
right now.
What do you mean?
Is-
I'm not. He's not. I'm giving him praise. I'm considering him for my Mount Rushmore.
But you're
There-
okay.
There is
What
a dude.
about Bones Crosby?
Oh. There is a dude who's a candidate for the A's Rushmore whose photo on Baseball Reference looks less like a photo and more like a painting. He's so old. It's like not a real photo. It's like a recreation of what this man might have looked like.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Like the caveman
Sure.
photo or something.
Like George Washington. It's like,
Yeah.
this
this is what we
could be
think he looked
yeah.
like.
Yeah, we don't have a photograph, but we do have this painting that's based on maybe a photograph. We don't know.
This is going to be great.
I think it might be a little easier than we think.
All right. Maybe.
Maybe not.
But if you're listening to this and you're starting to get a little anxiety, being like, oh my God, we love the Mount Rushmore segment. Like, what are we going to do when we're out of teams? We are going to be doing Mount Rushmores of positions after this.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll never stop.
It'll never stop. We'll figure out ways Like we'll just do like Mount Rushmores of positions, then we can go to Mount Rushmores of certain decades. Mount Rushmore.
I saw the
90s.
Reddit thread that was just doing the Mount Rushmore of all time.
Yeah, the all-time Mount Rushmore. Another chance to snub Babe Ruth. I'll do it again. I don't give a fuck. I'll do it again. Dallas's mic came unplugged at the perfect time because no one wants to hear what the fuck you have to say about that. Still can't hear you, but yeah, that's fine. Yep, can't hear you. But
You suck my dick. Oh, you heard that?
I heard that. Yeah. They came back for that. Jake, are you going to participate in the Red Sox Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I'm in for that one.
Okay. I was thinking about that today when I was taking a piss. Like, I think that there's just like an objective for that. I feel like that one, maybe it's because it's my team that I feel so strongly about it, but there is a right and a wrong answer to the Red Sox Mount Rushmore, I believe.
I could see that, actually. I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Like, I could see like someone that doesn't take a deep dive would put, there's definitely, the Red Sox have so many Mount Rushmore worthy players that it's hard to make the cut to 4. Like, they had a lot of guys that stayed there for generations, you know?
Yeah.
Like guys that if they did what they did in other organizations would be a slam dunk Mount Rushmore guy, but in Boston it's like, well, you just don't make the cut.
I think I already have my Reds. I know we're not doing it for 2 weeks or whatever. I have my Red Sox 4, I think.
Yeah. Almost like the Yankees, but not quite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Yankees you could have 2 Yankee Mount Rushmores, and like the second tier Yankee Mount Rushmore would still be greater than most other organizations' Mount Rushmore.
For sure. The 5th through 8th guys for the Red Sox are going to be like a mid-tier Mount Rushmore overall in baseball history.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Joseph, any final thoughts today? What's the new YouTube video you're cooking up? Is it the one? It's still the one that hasn't come out yet?
That's the one.
What the fuck, dude? We've been talking about this since last year.
It's gonna be like probably like 50 minutes.
50-minute YouTube video? You're not doing it in 2 parts?
No.
That's crazy. What's the algorithm say about that?
We'll fucking see.
Like, you're basically dropping like a movie.
Yeah, dude. I'm a director.
This is 50-minute. A 50-minute
Joe,
baseball doesn't exist.
38 2 minutes long for me, Joe. I'm going to be completely.
I'm a creator. A lot of people said that about the video about Dallas Braden, but still put it out.
You still did it against my advice.
Dallas, what's the update on that? Have you still gotten people that have reached out being like, "Oh, I saw your YouTube"? Has anyone like discovered you through that video?
No. But yes, like fantasy camp, there were folks that came up to me and were like, "Oh my God." So I got to tell you, this video. And I was like, yep. They're like, "Are we going to hear any of those stories?" Well, you just wait. It's only day 1. So, yeah.
Do you have a release date, Joe? I mean, what the fuck, dude?
It's going to be ready when it's ready, man. Like, you're stressing me out right now.
He's a mad scientist.
You're like the sponsors. You're like the sponsors calling right now. Like, dude, yo, where's the video? Where's the heat?
Don't you have some frozen meals company that you work for that's like, hey, the meals are pretty frozen, man?
We already had a Brando. We had to cancel one of the Brandos because it took too fucking long. This video's so long.
Wow.
I gotta write words down, but it'd probably Monday. I'd say Monday.
What's today? Tuesday? All right, so less than a week.
Put it on your calendar.
All right.
Okay. Jay, hey, final thoughts?
Earlier in the podcast, we were discussing the question of people who had really bad or a lack of success as pitchers at a ballpark who then proceeded, or against that team, who then proceeded to sign with that team.
Yeah.
I did a little research. I propose we call this the good school system corollary, because Mike Hampton is the best example that I can find
Braves?
recently. Mike Hampton had a 6.48 ERA in 33 and a third career innings pitched at Coors Field before signing that infamous contract with the Rockies that ended in total disaster and had him out of Colorado after 2 seasons. So Colorado saw a guy who had a 6.5 ERA at their ballpark and said, that guy is for us. We're going to give him over $100 million. Yeah. We're going to give him like I believe a record-setting or near record-setting contract at the time, and it's going to go as bad as any pitcher contract has ever gone. So Mike Hampton, there you go.
So we're looking. No, we want to find the guy. We're looking for the guy who has done well. That was what I was after. But yes, I love that.
Well, no, that's the opposite of Marcus Stroman, though. We were saying Marcus Stroman has sucked at Yankee Stadium, or that was their concern.
So we're trying to find the people that sucked at a ballpark and then went there and had success.
Because that's what I was outlining with Stroman is with the ground ball rate. Yeah. Not Mike Hampton. No. Yeah, so I was like, Jay, no. But I love, you know what? Like, that should also be a caveat to it, though, Jay, is finding a guy that has just gotten his absolute fucking nuts handed to him. And then he's like, you know what? Let's call this place home. And they're like, yeah, we're into that. We'll take you.
I'm telling you, look into John Lackey. I'm pretty sure that was one of them.
Yeah, I'll look into it. All right, I'm starving. I gotta go. I've been on.
All right, you go eat. And we'll be back next week on our normal recording schedule on Monday, with the Oakland A's, Mount Rushmore, and whatever news and notes happen in Major League Baseball. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, you're still here. I thought Dallas left. I was gonna.
You can do it too. Go ahead.
I was like, "What is Joe? Is he fucking? Is that a sneeze? I thought that was a sneeze."
Not bad. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, I want to hear it, Joe. I want to hear it from you.